আপনার কোগাইড আপনার কোগাইড স্যার এই যে আপনার গাইড কোগাইড কোগাইড স্যার নমস্কার বলছি ও ব্যাপার চলছে তাই কি দেখি
A very warm good afternoon to each and everyone present here. Pretty Fukon, research scholar, the Department of Commerce, Borough University. First of all, on behalf of the Department of Commerce, Borough University, I would like to welcome one and all of to the first Borough International Knowledge Festival. Now, I would like to take the opportunity to invite all the distinguished guests to the dais and take their respective seats. First of all, I would request Professor Debabrata Das, PC, Assam Rajiv Gandhi University of Cooperative Management, Sibsagar, Assam, to please come to the stage and take his seat. I request one of our volunteers to kindly escort sir to the stage. Now, I request Professor Azila Qasim, School of Tourism, Hospitality and Event Management, University of Uttara, Malaysia, to please come to the stage and take her seat. Now, I would like to request Professor Saurabh Kumar Dikshit, Register Nehu, Professor, Department of Hotel and Tourism Management, Nehu, Shillong, to please come to the stage and take his seat. Now I request Professor Seema Sharma, Department of Commerce and Management, Assam Downtown University, to please come to the stage and take her seat. Next, I would like to request Mr. Bhavesh Tanwani, entrepreneur, Bagol Askar Hotel and Residence, Abu Dhabi, to please come to the stage and take his seat. Last but not the least, I would request Professor Sudeep Pradhan, Independent Director, NRL, to please come to the stage and take his seat. As we move on, I would like to introduce our guest and felicitate them with an Aronai. First of all, I would request Dr. Rajesh Dev Burman sir to felicitate Professor Debabrata Das with an Aronai. Professor Debabrata Das is the third Vice Chancellor of Assam Rajiv Gandhi University of Cooperative Management, Sibsagar. He is a professor currently. He is a professor in the Department of Business Administration, Tezpur University, Assam, and held positions of Head of the Department and Director of Tezpur University Center for Open and Distance Learning. Professor Debabrata Das has also worked as a member of Arunachal Pradesh Private Educational Institutions Regulatory Commission, Itanagar. Now, I would request Rinsar Basumatari sir to felicitate Professor Azila Qasim with an Aronai. Professor Azila Qasim is a professor at the School of Tourism, Hospitality and Event Management, University Uttara, Malaysia. She received her PhD in Tourism and postgraduate tourism from University of East England, United Kingdom. She was the Deputy Dean for Research and Postgraduate Studies for her school, and now she heads the Langkawi International Tourism and Hospitality Research Center. Currently, Professor Azina is actively pursuing her research interests and publishing in the area of corporate social responsibility, corporate environmentalism, environmental management, hotel management, and tourism marketing. Now, I request Deepak Hazwari sir to felicitate Professor Saurabh Kumar Dixit, Vichan Aroline. Professor Saurabh Kumar Dixit is a professor and founding head of the Department of Tourism and Hotel Management and registered in charge of Nehu, Shillong, India. His research interests include consumer behavior, gastronomic tourism, and experimental management and marketing in hospitality and tourism context. Presently, he is editing the Routledge Handbook of Wine Tourism, Routledge Handbook of Collaborative Consumption in Tourism, and teaching cases in tourism, hospitality, and events. Now, I would like to request Dr. Rajesh Devnath sir to felicitate Professor Shima Sharma Vichan Aroline. Dr. Shima Sharma has been in the teaching profession since 2004. She has served as various reputed institutions like IRDA, Guwahati Commerce College, ICSAI, and so on. She was awarded her PhD in 2017 by the Department of Commerce of Guwahati University. Thank you. Now I would request Ringsar Kosumotari sir to felicitate Mr. Bhavesh Tanwani, Vichan Aroline. Mr. Bhavesh Tanwani is a successful entrepreneur working in the field of hospitality industry. He holds a degree in tourism and hospitality management from Federal University of Australia. Thank you. Now, I would request Deepak Hazwari sir to felicitate Mr. Sudeep Pradhan, Vichan Aroline. Mr. Sudeep Pradhan is an independent director of Numaligarh Refinery Limited. He is also the honorary chairman of Central Panjang Multipurpose Cooperative Society, the director of not-for-profit and self-funded Padma Kumari Public School. Moving on to the next agenda, I would like to request our coordinator, Dr. Rajesh Dev Burman, Sir, Department of Commerce, Berlin University, to deliver the inaugural speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vicky Pupul. Good evening to all. Now, today's the third session. This is the last session for paid commerce and investment. After the merit talks and paper presentation, this session is the last session, is the panel discussion. In our panel discussion, we are invited such persons as like Professor Dayabhadra Das sir, Professor Dayabhadra Vice Chancellor of Assam Rajiv Gandhi University of Cooperative Management. Sir, we are here. Next, we invite our Ajila Kasim ma'am from Uttra University of Malaysia. Next, we invite one resource person, Bhavesh Tanwani sir. Bhavesh Tanwani sir, the youngest entrepreneur in Abu Dhabi. Next, we invite Saurabh Kumar Dixit sir. Saurabh Kumar Dixit sir is the registrars of Nehu and professor of the tourism departments. And we invite one of the other guests, the new guest for this session is the Sudeep Pradhan sir. Sudeep Pradhan sir is the independent director of NRL. So these are the following guests. We have to conduct the panel discussion on trade, commerce, investment. So this session will be conducted by our Professor Devabrata Das sir, Vice Chancellor of Assam Rajiv Gandhi University of Cooperative Management. Now over to you, sir. Please moderate the session and conduct the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, we are with the topic trade, commerce, and industry to discuss the prospects of Northeast India in regard to trade, commerce, and industry, with specific reference to NTR. We have with us academics like Professor Kasam, Professor Seema Sharma, and Professor Dixit. We also have entrepreneur like Bobes Chanwari, who has not only domestic experience but also international experience of enterprising. We have with us a person who is associated with managing industry, big industry, as independent director and having other experience of managing non-profit organizations as well, and also having some experience in cooperative sector, as I have heard introduced by the introducer. We will hear all of them. He is Mr. Sudeep Pradhan. So we will hear all of them. So the session will go like this. First of all, we will have the opening remarks from the panelists, maybe 3 to 5 minutes time, so that they can open up the discussions in a particular direction. And then we will have question answer session. The participants are requested to write the questions and submit it so that our panelists can answer. And after that, there will be closing remark. So before I go for opening remark, actually I reserve my remarks to the closing part, and I would like to now take the podium forward by the panelists one by one to open up the discussion. Initially, I would like to request Professor Adila Kasam to open up the discussion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Chairman Sir, for asking me to go first. Okay, my theme is investment future, and again, I will be focusing on my area of expertise, which is tourism. My name, by the way, is Azilah Kasem, not Kasam. So please don't get my name wrong. And I'm from University Utara, Malaysia, which is located in the north of Peninsula Malaysia. So I hope to bring a little bit of international perspective to the discussion. Okay? The future of investment in tourism requires focus on recovery and continued efforts to spread socioeconomic benefits. This needs to be supported by an effective enabling environment such as public-private partnership to ensure that sustainability and inclusion are at the heart of investment decisions and future growth. In Malaysia, our key strategy to boost tourism investment is to establish a clear policy framework by launching our national tourism policy. This effort is to ensure the continuity of the country's tourism industry while targeting to make Malaysia a top tourism destination globally. Our key approaches to achieving this agenda are by harnessing public-private partnerships and embracing digitalization to drive innovation and competitiveness towards sustainable and inclusive development. This is in line with our 12 Malaysia Plan, our National Ecotourism Plan, and the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for SDGs. The policy would be implemented through 6 main strategic tasks, including the transformation of governance, creating an inclusive tourism investment zone, and intensifying digitalization in the tourism sector. Sustainable tourism inclusive zones aim to enhance Malaysia's tourism ecosystem beyond offering accommodation facilities. After required facilities in ST, we call it STIZ, include banking, commercial, logistic, hospitals, and retirement homes. So it's like a complete infrastructure within the zone to help facilitate tourism on a large scale. The strategy of designating certain areas as special zones to include private investment is not new and has been used by our government before. This policy has been highly successful in increasing foreign direct investment employment and industrial capacity in Malaysia's manufacturing sector. So likewise, SDIZs will function similarly to existing special manufacturing zone, but focusing especially on tourism sector. The introduction of STIZs aim to encourage high quality investment in Malaysia's tourism sector in line with the transformation strategies of our NDP. In addition, the core thrust involved enriching tourist experience and satisfaction, strengthening commitment to sustainable tourism, and increasing human capital capacity in all tourism subsectors. So my hope is that by sharing this information with you, Borderland could probably learn from the Malaysian experience and develop the needed enabling environment that could attract both local and international investments to help you move the tourism development agenda forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kasim. So sorry. So it was nice actually opening up for this discussion. So it is under industry. So now tourism is considered to be recognized to be industry. And looking at the geographic situation, location of the northeastern region of India, more so BTR, tourism could be a very good industry which can absorb a lot of unemployed youth into the sector, and there is a lot of potential for entrepreneurship in that area. It is also considered as one of the sustainable development goals. She has rightly mentioned, and she has also mentioned in the earlier session, one thing I remember, talking about the safety and security of people, which now the Borderland is moving towards, ensuring the security and peace kind of dialogue. So, which is a positive move for the BTR. She has also talked about the digitalization. She has also talked about ecotourism and sustainable tourism, which are very, timely used strategy for tourism development and opening up of the economy of Northeast India and more so in BTR. Here, just only one thing I would like to take. A portion note. I am not a person doing research on tourism, but I would like to give portion note on the tourism sector that in the name of employment generation or name of development of the tourism industry, we knowingly or unknowingly we degrade the biodiversity, we degrade the entire sustainable environment. So that is to be taken care. I think there are certain important things need to be taken care before going to the venturing into the tourism is a scientific roadmap of carrying capacity. There is a carrying capacity, like in a pot, if you put more and more water, one time the water will be thrown out. If you put more and more, sand or stone, then it will be broken. in a pot. So like that, everything has a carrying capacity. Say for example, Mana National Park. Nearby there is a national park, which is Manash. So what is the carrying capacity of Manash? For this hall, for example, there are hundred of capacity. If you put 500 people here, what will happen? There will be a whole lot of chaos. There will be air pollution. There will be people unhappy. There will be rope breaking of the hall somewhere. You know. So this kind of carrying capacity study should be conducted before, because now it is the time the BTR should take care of before adopting the tourism policy, allowing the people to walk tourism. You have to see what is the tourist capacity, carrying capacity of a particular place of tourism, and accordingly this should allow. Number one. Number two is green tourism. Always we have to see the sustainable tourism itself. The name is green tourism. But why I am saying green tourism is because you may have a green product used, but then while producing, you may create you may go through non-green process. If you go through non-green process to create a green product, so that is not actually a sustainable green. So we must see that always whatever we do is from the start to the end, that should be green. And thirdly, carbon footprint. You see that there is less and less carbon footprint while the tourists are invited. Carbon footprint means creation of carbon in the air. Creation of carbon in the air. Air pollution, for example, is a creation of carbon. If you invite more and more people, more tourism means more carbon footprint. That is usual. But how can we reduce carbon footprint? I was just thinking while coming to this venue from our dining hall, we were coming to a battery operated car. And I was thinking that there are two battery operated cars. An organizer has to, dictate the, car wala ki you go and come back again. And, same person, two persons were running, roaming around. I was thinking, what if all the cars run by petrol and diesel would have been outside the campus, and only some 20, 30 battery operated cars would have been allowed for these 4 days of time. There would have been reduction of a huge number of carbon footprint in the campus. It's a radius of maybe 1 kilometer, even more than that, maybe 2 kilometers. So this is a campus of Boroland University. If you measure the Boroland University's carbon footprint before 4 days and after 4 days, you will see that there is a huge upshoot of the carbon footprint in the air. So that way, if you invite more and more tourists to Manas or wherever, to Boroland as a whole, to Assam as a whole, then more carbon footprint, more vehicles will be flying in the area where now it is totally natural. You are talking about natural tourism, but if you allow them to go inside the park or inside the natural habitats with car and all, then it will be a technical condition. So that is also to be looked at. So these are just person note that I have mentioned. While doing so, you have to be very careful, and this is to be crafted very carefully by the government agencies while allowing to do that. With this, I thank Professor for bringing in such a sustainable topic as the initial start of discussion. Now I would like to go to one who is from the practice of bigger tourism industry, but he is more so in hospitality, and he is an entrepreneur. He is entrepreneur, and he has been doing his own enterprise in Singapore and also in Middle East. So I would like to now invite Mr. Bhavesh Tanwani to give his opening remarks, which is more related. Now we will hear from the man from practice, which is presented by our professor.
Thank you, Professor Das. Thank you everyone for being here. Yes, being in the hospitality industry for almost 7 years, working and studying in Singapore for 3 years. What I can say is hospitality is quite wide. Working in 2 different continents, I worked in Asia, Singapore, I worked in Middle East, 2 different countries. All I can say is locally there is a lot of scope of bringing tourism. I've been here less than 24 hours, as I mentioned this morning. I can see that people are very hospitable here. I can also feel that very hardworking. I can see people running around even yesterday night. From this morning, I saw them. So you have all the potential to be in the international market. With regards to bringing the hospitality sector strongly in India, or in, should say in Assam, we have to attract the big sharks, big giants to come to Assam. You are very rich in tea cultivation. You are very rich in natural reservoirs, heritage, culture, and people are not known about it. I'll give you my own example. I was not aware about this place till last week, and now social media, digital marketing being a place, it's time to promote by its own. City should be promoted by our own people. So one post takes 2,000 people, and another post shared will be another 10,000 people. So digital marketing would be an ideal situation here to promote the state. And as you are aware, like this morning, we were talking about how people can go into hospitality and hotel industry overseas. So also a lot of portals, lot of internship programs are available. People can join those international programs and bring the experience back to the state, which will enrich their own people and benefit. Example, more empowerment. If more hotels comes in, you will have more empowerment here. Employment goes in. Yes, people will be employed. More income, more people traveling. So all sources will go to in the state. Regarding my entrepreneur experience, I have 2 restaurants which I opened 4 years ago. I was one of you where I always used to think we should take a risk or not. Starting my career with hospitality, working in hotels, I took a short break and started my own restaurant and then joined back the industry. I was sharing with Professor Das a while ago. I have a new concept which I'm working with the government of UAE together, which is dining in the dark. So this is something, an example I'm giving where it's out of the box. Nobody has ever imagined eating in a closed area and blind eyes where you will not know what you're even eating. But this is itself an experience which you can bring. This is an example which we can bring to Assam or any other part. It is attractive. So even people who doesn't want to even try it, but listening to it, I'm sure everybody wants to try how it feels to have a meal without even seeing what you're eating. So I would say there's a lot of scope of hospitality industry in this country, in this state, and all of you can be part of it. And it would be great to see Assam on the books in near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We had the opportunity to listen to him in the earlier session also. He nicely explained how he has conducted his journey and how he has managed the risk of almost collapsing and then coming out and standing like during the pandemic time. So this is a classic example of managing the risk. Of course, when you talk about enterprise, it must carry the risk. The first and foremost thing of the enterprise is the characteristic is risk. If you cannot take risk, you cannot go for enterprising. So that is a lesson actually for the young, budding entrepreneurs or students to think about something new. As he has said, he is going to start something which is called dark dining. It was quite information for me. It was usually what happens when we see things before we eat, then it gives us some kind of signal to our brain, and then it creates saliva, and then we take and we kind of we know that what kind of taste it would be, then we kind of. But he is starting something which he cannot see, dark. So this is new. I don't know what would be, but then it's a new thing he is trying to. He may fail. I wish he will not. But he may fail. But then trying one thing which is not there is innovation. And the second thing of entrepreneurship is the innovation. If you have the risk-bearing capacity and if you have the innovative power with you, then nothing can stop. Money is not a problem. Money will come. Finance will come, no problem. Other resources will come. Human resource will come. But two things will not come from otherwise. It will come from yourself. Is risk and innovation. These two things. So, and he has also talked about the bringing your whatever you have. Today, and entire outside world. If you have treasure, but people do not know, so people will estimate you like that only, whatever they see. As he was saying, he didn't know about this part of the country, this part of the globe, 4 days before, 1 week before. So now he knows. But it cannot be always a marketing tactics to have this kind of international festival and bring in people. But you have to take this to the entire world using technology. Technology is digital marketing you have to do. We have to connect with international groups for lobbying so that your place, your destination is marketed entirely. So that is very important. Key things he has given us, and we know already what we have. We have different kind of tourism prospects. He has mentioned 2 or 3, but I can tell you some other also. Like we have adventurous tourism, we have natural tourism, we have additional tourism, we have a lot of other tourism we can do. But the thing is that innovativeness, that is very important. But here I would like to tell you one thing from my very little understanding that for the foreigners to come, that is again in general tourism, is that you require qualified guides. I'm talking about human resource, skilled human resource. We have a lot of people, a lot of students, but we do not have trained human resources. If a person from Abu Dhabi or Singapore wants to visit us, or from Malaysia visit us as a tourist, general tourist, nothing, no connection, then what he or she wants is a licensed guide to guide them. Otherwise, they will not come. They will not visit. But mind it, in Assam, maybe now there are a handful of less than 10. I am telling you, giving a number, less than 10 registered guides. You check with tourism department. You check with tourism department of your BTR. How many people are registered guide into BTR? You will get to know. So the Boroland University can take up an agenda that in Boroland, university, they will conduct the training for tourist guide, registered tourist guide. So for that, they will have to have training, and for that training, you can collaborate with the National Institute, Indian Institute of Tourism, Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management, Gwalior, right? So Gwalior, there is a central university, central deemed university. So they will help you, and you are also going to get funds. And if you give a certificate to them, then the State Department will register them as a registered guide, and they will automatically get troops coming from different places. So in many cases, it so happened that I have found myself the foreign tourist groups, people come in troops. Say from Japan, people are visiting from Europe. They take guide from Kolkata, other state, and they're out of the region. So from Kolkata, they take guides and they come and you tell me how many people of Kolkata they know about Ranghor, Karanghor, and Mughal Kingdom and all that. They don't know, but they come because they have license. So that is one area where we can build up the human resources, which is very important to do. It's not that all of you will take entrepreneurship, but you may also work as a professional, tourism professionals, consultants, etc. So digital marketing is another way of consulting, having consultation on digital marketing. You are not doing your tourism yourself or you're opening a restaurant, but you can work as a digital marketing consultant. So that also requires. So here, Boroland University or management department or tourism department, commerce department of the university has that kind of responsibility for developing the human resources. Another important thing that I would like to share with you is that there is a behavioral issue with the people of Assam, like I am also Assamese. So I don't shy, saying that we have tendency to grab, once for all. So that should not be mandatory. We have to take care of this. Grasping once for all. I mean, one time I would like to develop everything, one day. So we have to see the economies of scale. If we have more and more turnover, less profit, then it will be sustainable. If we have more tourists visiting us, that will be beneficial. Per tourist, maybe revenue is less. But if we kind of want to come from US, so they are very rich, so let us charge in dollars, like, whatever is available in $100, you are charging $500 and all. So once they will go back and give their own comments that they have to give to their own. So that thing we have to see. This is the behavior of Assam and entire Northeast. Being an Assam is not as a professor, I am saying this is yes, this is correct. So this has to be changed. Okay. So with this, I thank again Bhavesh Tanwari opening up nicely. So I would like to now again wrap up another tourism professor for this tourism discussion. We will go through some other topics. So now Professor Dixit from NEHU is with us. He is a professor of specially tourism and travel. So he would now give his opening remarks on the same subject or whatever he likes. By the way, I would like to request all of the participants to keep your questions ready, and you can hand it over to the organizer sitting here for passing to me. So please collect the questions if anyone having.
Hello, I think it's working now. Thank you, Professor Kar, for your base information and background you have already made for the today's panel discussion. And two of the panelists who have spoken before me, they have given a lot of information about different kind of thing which is happening in the tourism industry, tourism profession. So, being a tourism professional who is working in Northeast from about last 10 years, I would like to highlight some of the issues which are very, very pertinent in the Northeastern tourism. So, since we are talking about the panel discussion on trade, commerce, and industry, so I feel that it will be more pertinent if I talk about the issues which are relevant for the northeastern tourism, especially for the BTR, like what kind of problems we are facing now and how we can overcome those issues. So the most important problem that the northeastern tourism, that as the northeastern tourism academician, I can notice that the problem is there in the tourism industry is the ease of doing business. Most of the states, whatever is there in the northeastern region. So the problem is that in order to undertake business, in order to start any business, most of the investors, they are not finding enough kind of motivation to start their business, to run their business, to operate the business. So basically, that kind of hindrances are there. So somehow we need to do some kind of effort so that those hindrances can be taken away, those problems can be removed, so that some kind of incentive may be given to the investors to perform their business, to do the business, to attract the investors to the region. So that kind of problem is there. So until unless we are able to do that, until unless we are able to give some kind of business in doing business, so the industry will not flourish. So it is like irrespective of any industry. I'm not talking about only tourism industry. Any industry, if it is to perform in any state, any region, so it has to be given some kind of incentives so that it will be it can be flourished. So that is one aspect. And since we are talking about tourism, so basically the tourism industry, it comprises of many things. Like it includes the road transportation, it includes transport facilities, accommodation facilities. So many things are involved in that. So what we are facing in tourism, especially in the northeastern region, we are not having enough number of facilities which may be offered to the tourists. So where we are not having quality. We are not having quality accommodation units in different places. We are not having quite good roads. Even air transport facilities are also not there in most of the tourist points. So those things are to be improved. Somehow we need to do some kind of that is the collective effort, and it is already pointed out by Professor Das that involvement of the community, involvement of the people who are there in different places. They need to be hospitable. So we cannot make any people hospitable. It is a kind of inherent feeling that I have realized from about 10 to 12 years of my academics in hospitality. So basically, hospitality trade cannot be taught to the individual. To some extent, we can mold them to be hospitable, but it is inherent quality. People used to be hospitable by nature. So if they are having that kind of trade, then only they will be like keen to serve to the people. They usually go forward to serve to the people. So that kind of tendency, and if we will be doing that, if we are able to do that, then basically somehow it is going to support the society, it is going to support to the economy of the local people. So community involvement is very important for any industry to flourish. So if we are able to do that, if we are able to somehow motivate people to come forward, to involve in the industry, commerce and trade, then only we will be able to develop the industry in such a manner. Another thing that we are facing in different states because of the non-availability of the land and other resources for establishing any business venture at any place. So that kind of problem is there. So there are several reasons behind that. So I cannot point out all the reasons here, but somehow, somewhere, some kind of intervention is required so that the things can be made smooth, so that the investors can be attracted to the region, so that they can work and they can pitch their different kind of projects in those regions. And for that, it needed some kind of collaborative efforts may be needed with the help of the community, with the help of the government, and outside companies may be invited. So some kind of collaboration efforts. And another thing is that sustainability concept that is also to be taken into consideration. We cannot call mass tourism in the region so that they may just damage the entire resources, attractiveness of this region. This region is known for its natural flora, fauna, culture, other traditions. So if we will invite so many tourists at this place, so maybe at that stage we will find that most of our resources will be exploited. So that is also to be retained. So as it is already pointed out by the moderator of this particular session, Professor Das has already pointed out, we need to take care of the carrying capacity of different places before inviting tourists, before inviting any visitor to our region. So that is also taken care of, so that at that stage our natural attractiveness, our natural resources will not be exploited to the extent that we cannot replenish it at that stage. So that is also very important aspect that as a administrator, as a planner, as a professional, we need to understand. Another aspect that we need to know, now post-COVID, things are changing a lot. Consumers' behavior is changing a lot. People are not very keen to see some kind of quality kind of accommodation, quality experiences. They are not going for. They are rather searching for some kind of things which are of routine nature. They are trying to find out some places which is a bit far away from the city crowd. So then in that way, I think we have many things to offer to our tourists. We have several secluded places. We have our own authentic culture and tradition to showcase to our tourists. So that thing I think we should highlight to the maximum extent, and we should try to market those things to the tourists so that they can be attracted to our region. So in that way, if they are able to do that, so I think region will be more. It will be in position to market its products and services to the tourists to the fullest extent. So that is all from my end for this point of time. If there is any query, any concern from any of the participants, I'm most happy to respond to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dixit, for your nice opening remark. As I have already said that this is opening remarks only, and we invite questions actually from the participants to respond to these. So far now we have got three opening remarks from three of the panelists, and almost all of them have covered the tourism industry in Northeast as a whole. And he has, Professor Dixit has nicely pointed out about basically two new points. One is, of course, other points are there. So one is ease for doing business and another is facilities. So ease for doing business is utmost important not only for tourism but also for other businesses. But we see that there is a long demand, demand problem has been unresolved is the e-governance. The government these days, especially in Assam, I'm happy to say that they're going for e-governance, and under e-governance now you can get e-license, you can get e-permission for doing business, small or big. And there are also some initiatives taken by the central government also to have a database on the businesses, and accordingly you can also choose your businesses and the schemes where you can apply, and as a budding enterprise you can take opportunity. So there's a lot of ease of doing business has been done, and the brand building exercise also being done by the central government, central leadership, as well as state leadership, and this is also another a great brand building exercise for doing business. Facilities management also, yes, he has nicely narrated that there are lack of facilities for tourism, and not only tourism, for other ways. For example, for doing a manufacturing unit, there are a lot of ancillary industries required. The packaging industry is required. If you see, for packaging the packaging products comes from Kolkata. There is no packaging industry. There are two kinds of packaging happens. So one is primary packaging, another is secondary packaging material. The primary packaging material is the material which just wraps the product, the biscuit is there. You will see there are two kinds of packaging. One maybe with one or two biscuits. There is a one primary packet, and entire 3 into 10, 30 would be in a big box kind of thing. So that is a secondary packaging. So these packaging products are not produced in Assam or in Northeast. Though there are some products, but then there is a packaging material coming from outside. So similarly, there are a lot of ancillary goods. Say, for example, hotel industry we are talking about, tourism industry we are talking about. There are a lot of things required for guests. There is a toothbrush required. There is a soap, required. There is a tea bag required. There is, small shampoo. Everything is coming from outside. There is no inside production, but which can be done by using, local products also. Some medicinal products we can use. In fact, these are being done by the people taking our products from here and they produce outside, and then again they make it small packets. And Assam tea is coming in a different brand. Tea bags we get in hotels. So when tourism starts, there are a lot of ancillary industry also starts. Like any other industry, there is the oil industry, there is coal industry, there is tea industry here, but the ancillary industries are not happening. So far we have heard about tourism and travel industry, hospitality. Now let us hear something else which is little bigger. Maybe one independent director of NRL is sitting with us, Mr. Pradhan, Mr. Sudeep Pradhan. He is the independent director of NRL. Probably he will look at how industry, big industry or heavy industry, is progressing in this region, and how that can contribute to the GDP of our regional economy, and what can we expect from this kind of industry.
Good afternoon, everybody. Everybody is at the back today. I used to be a backbencher as well. I don't like my teachers asking me questions. But since we are here for panel discussion, I wanted some questions from you all also. You're just hearing our opinion and going back, that will not help us. Good afternoon, everybody. Professor Das, Professor Adila Madam, Professor Dixit sir. We've been talking about tourism, and I love talking about tourism as well. I'm from a small place called Sikkim, where most of the resources, our income is generated from tourism. and I was basically I'm a entrepreneur as well, and I love talking about tourism. And I was talking to your Chief Saab, Mr. Pramod Boro, and your EM tourism also last time. Now I was suggesting that Bodoland Assam has a very rich culture, as you all already said. And it is, I'm going out of the topic since you all have talked about it, I'll just mention two things. And I was suggesting him, why don't we come up with some Bodoland natural tourism, where everything is made locally. As you said, like tea, everything can be locally procured from Assam itself, and because they have good rivers, water is there, everything is land is ample here, and it is not far from any um, places like us. We are cut off. If a landslide is there, our tourists get stranded for a couple of days. So Assam is such a place where you can still have a good communication, as the roads are good, air transportation is good, railways are there. So, as a young entrepreneur, Mr. Bhavesh, who is doing entrepreneurship in hospitality, I request all of you who are into Bodo hospitality, because the culture is rich and the food is good as well. Every time I come here, people put me something in my car with sometimes a pork, a dried pork, or a locally made wine. It's a very nice actually. So that can be a good potential for Bodoland also. And I think, you don't need to have a very big infrastructure like Dubai or something for letting tourists flow in here, because you see a very close country, Bhutan. As you say, you can charge very high amount for a good tourist to come in here, so that our natural resources also will be protected. Bhutan, I've been to Bhutan 3 times, and every time I go, my friends used to tell me that we are paying $250 just for a day to get in there. And being from India, you're not charged, so you don't go there. So I went twice. The third time I went there, I had to start paying myself. They recently started introducing all the Indians also should pay something. So Bodoland is a very good place where tourism also can be done. Just complementing their part of tourism. And as Madam is from Malaysia, Genting Island, I've been there, and they have a very good, the concept they have come with the tourism is very nice. So that can be started here as well, those sort of tourism also. And regarding, now I'll come to my field also, regarding Professor Das has asked me to talk a few things about oil industry. We have had a discussion with our Chief Saab also last time. Since I'm with the Nimalika Refineries, which is the biggest refinery in Northeast, which is coming up with bioethanol, which is being made out of bamboo. So this is the first of its kind of ethanol coming out of bamboo. And I believe the paper industries in Assam has shut down. And there is ample bamboo product even in Bodoland. And there is a refinery of Indian oil where the blending of petrol and diesel will be done in near future, and even government has mandated that till 20% of the fuel should be blended with ethanol. I've suggested them also to come up with a ethanol based a bamboo-based ethanol project coming up in here, so that we can get a lot of employment opportunities, and even the local farmers and the transporters also will be benefited with the bamboo, which is a very fast-growing, and it's classified as a grass, and it's very healthy sort of plant as well to grow, and the growth rate is also very high. So within a span of 3 or 4 years, it grows fully, and then it can be cut off and then sent for processing. And I've talked about a few other bamboo products such as the planks, and even garments, shoes coming out of bamboo, which is very good. And we are doing research on that. We've given it to few Finnish company. So when they are ready for it, and we'll definitely join venture with Bodoland government, and we'll come up with something productive so that both Bodoland, Assam, and nation also will be benefited with that. Would you all want to have some questions to me? Or you can write it and give it to us later. And thank you for letting me speak, and anything we can discuss later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pradhan. So, you are the person actually who is paradise of tourism in Northeast. Because people, if you talk about tourism, they know two places. One Sikkim, another is Meghalaya, Shillong. And then only these days people know that there is a places in Arunachal also which are unkept. There are also places. Otherwise, in Assam, many people do not come for tourism. They come actually for the other states and for other reasons. You have also nicely talked about the potential of the big industry. Say helping the big industry, the bio industry these days is coming up. I was about to tell, but since you have said, I was expecting from your mouth, and exactly you have said that the potentiality of the biodiesel, and it is now time for the petroleum and oil industry to go for alternative resources. It has already been mandated by the government to all the PSU oil and petroleum companies to go for looking for alternative energy, and some of them are going for hydrogen-based fuel, and some people are going for the bio-based fuel. So for bio-based fuel, our Northeast is one of the untapped and most potential area. Bamboo is produced, in very high density in Assam and adjoining areas, and it is grown 6 times faster than in any other areas of Northeast, in any other area of the country. And here, one more thing is that the variety of bamboo of Assam and adjoining areas are suitable for biodiesel. For another reason is that bamboo is a plant where 60 to 80% are water-based product, and that is very suitable for the biodiesel. And he has already said that it is fast-growing product, and then it doesn't require much caring. You just plant it and it will grow its own way. So that's how the cost is also not very much. And another point is that if bamboo is grown in such places, can be grown in such places where there is no proper cultivation of yours. It's barren land, you put bamboo and bamboo will grow. So this is could be one of the auxiliary industries of the big industries or eventually transformed as a big industries of Assam. I was just other day passing through the Jagiroad and I was thinking it was a Jagiroad paper mill was a bamboo based industry. Now the paper mill is closed, so why not it can be transferred as a bio plant, biodiesel plant. The raw material will be same. The processing, other requirements will be almost kind of same. Architecture will be same. Only the machineries will be different. Earlier it was the paper producing machinery. Now the machinery will be same as diesel producing. It's a huge land. So another product may be there. So this could be suggestions from this forum to government even to look at the possibility of transforming the property of the uh, paper mill. Even Jogigupa paper mill, I don't know what state of the Jogigupa paper mill. Jogigupa paper mill also can be shifted to the bio paper mill. So this is very good suggestions from our side. It can be forwarded if somebody is writing the report. So thank you, Mr. Pradhan. You have nicely opened up. But still, I'm waiting for the questions to come. There is no questions so far. So I would like to receive certain questions. And we have now the another panel member, last panel member, Dr. Seema Sharma. She is the management faculty of Assam Downtown University. She is also dean of the school. So she will also look at any perspective of trade, commerce, and industry of Northeast. Dr. Sharma.
Namaskar. It's I should say, proud moment for me to be speaking in front of my respected teacher, person, sir. So I have been listening to all the speakers, found it very interesting as well as informative, and most of them have reflected their ideas on the development of the hospitality and the tourism industry. So our panel discussion on trade, commerce and industry. See, this trade, commerce and industry, this is the measuring yardstick for any nation, that how developed a nation is. And when we say trade, commerce and industry, it includes all the economic activities that generate revenue and contributes to the development of the economy. In this, each and every individual, each and every citizen of the nation is involved, and women mostly compromises of the 50% of the population of any nation. And it is well known that women contribute significantly to the economic development in the form of carrying out business activities, in the form of running industries, as well as in entrepreneur development. But it is very saddening to know that in India, not only in India, in most of the countries, development of the women segment of the population is not up to the mark as expected. No doubt, efforts have been made regularly at national and international levels to upgrade the position of women in the society, bring them to the front, empower them, let them be involved in politics, social and other economic activities of the nation. Talking about the education system, if we see, the number of students in primary segment is very high, but it goes down when it comes to the higher level. And the students, female students, are seen less to be in the technical and other fields. The number of enrollments are low. Initiatives have been taken, but if the new education policy also speaks about STEM, that is the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This needs to be made popular among the women. Empowering women doesn't mean that a woman needs to go out and work, but before that she needs a lot of things which can be reflected in the form of providing her education in financial literacy, providing her with financial literacy, digital literacy, legal literacy, as well as health literacy. These 4 kinds of literacy, what I feel is important for any woman, a mother, a homemaker, even if a lady is not involved into any industrial or business or other activity, but she is taking care of her family, which is an unpaid labor in any nation, and that lady who is taking care of the family is contributing towards the development of the nation by teaching her child who will be making the future of the country. So some of the speakers have already stressed upon digital literacy among everyone, and which emphasized upon they have basically highlighted on the marketing strategies that can be initiated with the help of digital literacy. But I'll be taking it only at the very grassroots level, where a woman needs to have a smartphone and know how to handle it, know how best she can use it for generating revenue, promoting her products, making her purchases, making her life easy, gathering some knowledge, as well as getting some degrees through some online modes which can help her in improving her future. If you talk about the financial literacy, this requires that women, this financial aspect is compromising of the savings, the investment, and the way we know where to invest and how to invest. So this is very important for each one of us, not only for women, for everyone. Our parents, in our times, we were taught about financial literacy since our childhood. The habit of savings thrift has been imbibed in us from our parents and grandparents. If all of you, any one of you can remember, whatever was the birthday gift which we used to regularly receive was a piggy bank. And that was just to promote the habit of savings among the children. But today, we have it to be taught in the schools. Why? Because some gap is missing. If you go through the Union Budget 23 and the tax rates that has been changed, the new tax regime and the old tax regime. The old regime was forcing us to save money, to save and invest so as to get some deduction in our tax tax payment. But the new regime is based upon consumerism. You are given liberty to spend, and it depends upon you how you can save. So this habit of savings is very important for anyone in this world, and this financial literacy needs to be taught, and the government has initiated schemes that various institutes involved in financial investments should be imparting financial literacy and education to people of all ages through various channels. Then talking about the legal literacy, each and every woman should know about her rights, her legal rights, and then the medical and health literacy, which is necessary for a woman to understand what are the facilities that are available to her and what she can get to make her life easy and comfortable. Once we have a female in our society who is aware about all this and literate about all this, she will be an empowered lady who can manage her family well and contribute to the nation in the form of various business as well as entrepreneurial activities. The recent budget that was presented, obviously I will say that that was a beginning of a golden era for women, Because in India, it happened for the first time that a lady finance minister presented the budget to a lady president. And obviously, this has lot of things for women, but it depends upon us how we are going to utilize and make our contribution towards the society. Lots of skills for the females are there, but we need to be prepared for that. Whether it be a hospitality industry, the women has a great role to play. They can be catering to the needs of the tourists in the form of, where we are talking about the BTR reason, the homestays, the ethnic food that can be catered. Morning we had a session where Sir have said that we can set up with some stalls or cooking classes where we can be presented, and we in BTR region are rich with our traditional food and drink which can be presented, served, and even stalls can be set up for selling up of all these items. In other sectors also, if we see, as an entrepreneur, a woman needs guidance in not only for her personal or soft skill development, but also some professional developments can be given. So this can go a long way in creating successful entrepreneurs in the region. Personal development can help in helping improving the communication skills. It can also be helpful in some analytical and decision making. And with that, if some professional guidances are given, in that case, it will go a long way. With the changing world, there is a change in the avenues of what a woman can do. Earlier, there were some stereotype jobs like a beauty parlor, a tailoring house, which a female can run. Today, with this various kinds of literacy, the scopes have widened. Women involvement, because now it has come from tailoring, it has become a So from tailoring houses, it has shifted to boutiques, fashion designing, new scopes, fixing jobs for two-wheelers, four-wheelers, mobile fixing. Then in terms of digital literacy in the field of computer applications. So there are various scopes where women can contribute. Yes, women can contribute in every field, but with that they need to be given proper training and assistance. So with this I wind up and we wait for the questions from the audience for taking the discussion further.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. Dr. Sima Sharma nicely pointed out one issue which is very pertinent and important these days everywhere, because half of the total population is women, and without support and without constant participation of women, it cannot be possible to prosper. And that has been amplified in a lot of policies of India. Now we can see proudly that our finance minister, which is a, so to say, hard portfolio for Assam state, is a woman. For the country, finance minister is woman. President, finance, our country is women. There are quite a few corporate CEOs are women. There are a lot of engineers, you'll see women. The women have been inducted as fighter pilots of Indian Air Force. And they have also been given infantry roles in Indian Army, which are path-breaking, progress is that happening. But still, there are a part where kind of literacy, financial literacy, etc., is still a lot of to be done. So we have to try for all the sectors so that there is a proper representation of this better half. When we say the better half, it is not should not be the husband's better half. It is the better half of the country. All policy is better half. So it is a at least half of the things, at least half of them should come. But I'm sure that will happen because nowadays you will see in all the examinations, I say all the examinations, the girls are outnumbering the boys here in India. Even the examinations like which is not very common and very technical examinations like chartered accountancy examinations, which are very mathematical. There also the toppers are these days women. Even in JEE, toppers are these days women. Not to talk about NEET. NEET, okay. From earlier also, women are there. So women are flourishing like anything. So, but as I said, that a major part of them needs some kind of nourishment. So when I talk about entrepreneurship, we have to talk about simultaneously some progress and some policies of which can encompass the women. So with this, we will have some questions now. We have certain questions, couple of questions, and we will have more and more. The first question, we will start with some kind of questions related to startup. So please give me liberty to fine tune, some of the questions so that it communicates better, to the other participants and also to the, panelists. So there is a question, Mr. Bhavesh, there is a question that how do you start the startup? So that is the question. Maybe it is in hospitality or in tourism or otherwise also. Yes, in general. Take this.
Thank you, Professor. It's a good question. See, for startup, there are various factors involved, but I will just name 7 factors which are key for any of the business. First, you should do proper research of where you want to do a business or your startup. Second, you should know about the rules and regulations of that area. Just example, if we are talking about ease of opening business, we have to check that if rules and regulation and licensing is something easy or not. Third, you should know your target market, which means the audience. Just an example, you will not be selling tea in a desert because in hot weather nobody will take your tea, and you need to have your proper target audience again. Nobody will come there to buy a tea from you. Fourth, our name as a funding, which is the most important, but I'm keeping it on the fourth because you need to do your proper research before you look if you're finalizing it and having a funding for your business. To run any of the business, you need to have proper manpower, which is your own team. Please make sure that you have proper people to do certain things because it's not a one-man show to have a business, and you do rely on your team. So that is a very important point to look into. Last, you have to see your pricing because, of course, you're not the only one in the market. There will be a lot of other people competing with you. So pricing should be reasonable whenever you start. And lastly, for all entrepreneurs who want to do a startup, do not look for something like you want to make money from day one. Create your market name, brand awareness. Look for social media reviews. That's very much important these days. People will come to you after reading the reviews. Mark my words. So look for all these things, and revenue will automatically flow in. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Always a very nice reply to this. Then I go to our next question. Next question to Professor S.K. Dixit. It is related to tourism. So it's about a particular product. Is wine. So what is wine tourism, and then how does it fit into the VTR?
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for the question. Actually, in the morning session, I tried to give some kind of idea about the wine tourism and the food tourism product. So basically, what is happening? So food and wine, they are kind of offerings that actually connects the culture with the people who are visiting to the region. So basically, wine tourism, as the word indicates, it is a kind of a tourism offering where we are trying to give some kind of offering to the tourists with the help of the wine or the locally grown liquors which are prepared in particular region, and we are offering them to the tourists to relish it. So basically, we are talking about wine tourism, and we are talking about the BTR and the other northeastern states. As we all know that, grapes are not popularly grown in this region. So we are talking about the wine which is being made from the fruits. So fruit wine are very popular in northeastern region in different states. It is being produced, and the problem is that they are not legalized in some states. But the small scale cottage industries, they are just preparing it and trying to do the efforts of promoting it to different places. So if we see the wine tourism from its terminology, so basically in wine tourism, it is not only the production of wine, but wine tourism also includes the visit to the wineries where the wine is grown, the places or the different gardens where the wines are grown, and how it is being produced. That process is also showcased to the people. They used to visit those places, they used to see how the wine is being made, and sometimes some kind of wine storage that is also being shown to the people. They are also shown how it is matured, how it is stored in different places, how it is packaged. So that kind of thing is also offered in wine tourism. So visitation to the gardens where the wine grapes are grown, where the wine is being produced, that is one more aspect. Besides that, wine tasting. Basically, wine is also to be matured. If we are talking about the grape wine, so it is also to be matured. So for that, tasting is also very important. So basically, expert tester, they used to give some kind of nuisances about the wines to the tourists. So with this, actually, there are many aspects which are involved in the wine tourism. But if we are talking about the local region, if we are talking about Northeast, if we are talking about the BTR region, so we are at very early stage, and we need to do a lot in case of promotion of our fruit wine to make it known to the global man. So I hope I was able to give you some idea about wine tourism.
Pradhanji, you can add to that, but then I will like to give you the question also, so that you can
Okay.
use.
First thing regarding wine.
Let me give the question as well, so that both of that you can answer. To you, there the question is, what is the prospects of future investments? So you can relate this question also. Otherwise, separately also you can give the prospects of future
Regarding investment, I don't think there is any problem. Because recently we have done one.
He's asking prospects.
Um, I think there are a lot of people who want to invest in the industries. Like recently we had a program in Guwahati where oil and natural gas have only invested on an ideation program of 400 crores, just pitching and startup. So anyone wants to come up with any sort of new ideas, there are multiple companies or individuals who wants to invest on it. And regarding the wine factor, I was saying, even if you go to Korea or Japan, they have soju and sake, which is a rice wine, and I believe Bodoland has an ample rice here, and that would be a very good idea for them to come up with those sort of wines as well. Anything else?
Yes, for my clarification for first part of your answer, you had said that there are oil industries, those who would like to invest.
Obviously.
You know, is it from the CSR or the CSR fund or?
No, CSR, see, as um, our people know it very well, the first thing I did was setting up a school here. And we are coming up with another nursing college also. See, CSR is totally different. We have investment funds also different. And these days they're pitching in like I was telling about bioethanol. 50% of the investment is from a Finnish company. So 50% only NRL.
So how the small entrepreneurs of this region can pitch in there? What are the prospects?
No, not in oil industries, but as a government, the government of Assam has 26% share in NRL. So, I mean, if they want, we are talking about them to be an entrepreneur, them, Bodoland to be a self-sufficient, self-sustainable um, um, region. If they come up with any sort of project, it is now there's a lot of projects with central government also, and even we have our own different fund allocated for this sort of as a grant in aid or even an investment sort of thing has been left aside. So they can always approach any big company can chip in their investment. It is not only oil industry. Anyone these days, if they think it's a viable, anyone would want to come and.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Pradhan. So I'll have the last question here with me. It is to Professor Azila Qasim. The question is about adventure tourism. This question goes like this: adventure tourism and its impact towards local economy. So how do we react to this?
Thank you, Chairman Sir, for the question and whoever asked the question. When we talk about adventure tourism, we're talking about activity-based, activity-based tourism, and it depends, in terms of the economic impact. I'm assuming you're asking about the positive impact, right? Because when we talk about impacts, it can be positive impacts or negative impacts, and this goes to economic impact, environmental impact, or social impact. It can be both positive and negative. So I'm assuming you are asking me the positive aspect, right? So if we're talking about adventure tourism, the positive aspect, the positive impact to the local economy would come in the form of either the equipment that are being used for that particular activity. If the equipments are locally made or locally produced, and not, you don't have to import or buy it from another region, then most of the then there will be your positive economic benefit there, because tourists who come, they will be spending to pay for all these equipment or rent these equipment to do that activity. So in that sense, you will be making money. And also you can benefit when you have the guide or the expert guiding that activity, this adventure activity, from the local community as well. So if you don't hire from outside or overseas or whatever to offer this particular adventure tourism, then your money will circle within the local economy, and that will be good for the local economy. Okay? And other than that, things like transportation, whether the tourists will be using local transport as they move around to all these adventure sites. So that will also contribute positively to the local economy. So that's all for that question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. So if you have some more questions, you can take just one or two, or you can finish up. You have one? No. Okay. Okay. Then I'll just go to the podium for concluding remark for a while. So, dear friends, there is an indication from the organizer that there is time to wind up. So quickly, I'll make my concluding remark. Is that today we have very nice discussion. Of course, centering around tourism and entrepreneurship. But there are, if we largely think about the Northeast, then we can have three things. And we also have rightly put here all those three things, which we could not find time much of discuss there. There are three things is trade, commerce and industry. It is written here. So trade means simply, changing the hands from buyers to sellers. Selling, buying is called trade. And commerce is something bigger than that, where the changing hands starts from the manufacturer to the end user. So there are buying and selling activities. There are trade, but apart from that, there are some ancillary services which are associated with the entire value chain. Entire the chain from manufacturer to the end customer is encompasses commerce. Where we can talk about the manufacturing industries, we are talking about the related ancillary industries. Say, for example, supply chain. We talk about warehouse. We talk about finance. We talk about banking, insurance, distribution channel. So entire thing is considered to be commerce. So when we talk about industry, it is simply manufacturing industry, or it is industry which assembles, which creates value using the raw materials or inputs. We can have some output, that is industry. So when we talk about industry, trade and commerce, it is interlinked. So setting up industry will also create a scope for commerce, will also eventually create the scope for trade. So when we talk about trade, we see that in Northeast region, there is a lot of scope for the external trade, that is the international trade. The domestic trade, we will not have much growth because our population growth is not that. The people from outside will come and settle here and there will be deep kind of economy eventually. It is not like that. It will be almost stagnant. There may be growth of 4 or 5% here. That's a different matter. But then we have to put emphasis on international trade. In international trade, we can flourish the Northeast because as we have already been, said by some earlier, that 6,000 kilometer is bordered by India and Bangladesh here. So there is a huge scope for international trade. I just spell out certain some points where we need to ponder, and it has already been initiated to develop and upgrade the infrastructure at border points. There are priority lists, and these lists there are some list where we can say Dauki and Sukarkandi and Daranga, Dhubri, etc. There are some points where there are development and upgradation of the facility we are going on. Then we have synchronized development of the local center, local infrastructure and transport facilities. The local infrastructure and transport is a very important thing. We will produce, but you cannot transport it, or it's very costly, then it would be a problem. Then customs. So there has to be some reform in the customs and non-tariff measures so that it boosts the international trade. The removal of border restrictions. So that's what in the morning also I was asking the BSF person who was presenting a paper. So what is the security issues and what is the policies, foreign policies, which may inculcate the international trade. So that is very important to be seen. Transport facilitation and then specific country trade agreements. So there should be some countries trade agreement, maybe Indo-Thai, maybe Indo-Myanmar, maybe Indo-Bangladesh, maybe Indo-Bhutan, etc. Talking about the industry, we can have some key sectors. Just I'll name them, not discuss. I'll just name that in Assam, there is a huge potentiality. The study says, this study is conducted by ADB, Asian Development Bank. There is pharmaceuticals and medicinal equipment, plastics and petrochemicals, power, river transport and port township, information technology, textile and handloom. These are the sectors having a lot of potentiality in Assam. In Arunachal, we have power, agriculture and forest-based industries, textile and handicrafts and tourism. In Manipur, you have agriculture and allied activities, horticulture, sericulture, bamboo processing industries. Meghalaya, hydroelectrical power, agriculture, horticulture, minerals, tourism and hospitality. In Mizoram, textile, handloom, fisheries, agriculture and food processing. Nagaland, agriculture and allied activities, apiculture, mining, sericulture. Sikkim, agriculture and food processing, hydro power, tourism, pharmaceuticals. Tripura, bamboo, tourism, information technology for food processing and technology. So if we see this state-wise bifurcation of the key sectors, we find there are commonalities. There are the agriculture and food processing, tourism, textile and handloom. These three sectors are the common sectors that have been carrying out by the studies. So probably these sectors would give some kind of emphasis and replicated in the national and regional policies also. So entrepreneurs and government also should try to ponder these factors so that the budding enterprises can come out and everywhere from every side all aspects can be put together and the prosperous BTR and prosperous SAM and prosperous Northeast region can be ensured. With this, I thank all the panelist members for giving their contribution in a very nice way. And I also thank the organizers for the arrangement and everything. And I especially thank to the BTR region government for taking such a nice initiative for brand building, which has already reached to the entire globe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your beautiful speech. Now we will have a ceremony of offering a memento for our guests. So, without sparing any time, I will quickly request Dr. Sangram Brahmo, OSD CM Pramod Goro, and Librarian of Bodoland University to felicitate Dr. Professor Devrata Das. Now I will request Nilukul Kaishal, OAG to CM, Pramod Goro BTR, to felicitate Azila Kasim. Now I will request Dr. Rajesh Burman to provide the memento to Saurav Kumar Dixit. Again, I would like to request Dr. Sangram Brahma to provide the memento to Mr. Bhavesh Tanwani. Once again, I will request Mr. Nilukul Kashyap, OAG to CM, Pramod Goro, to felicitate Professor Shimata. One more time, I will request Dr. Sangram Brahma, OAG to CM, Pramod Goro, to provide a memento to Mr. Sudip Pradhan. I want to request Dr. Rajesh Deparman sir to felicitate the Peter Hub of Professor Saurav Kumar Dixit sir. Sir, please. Ma'am. Since we are running out of time, and now I would like to take the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks since we are moving to the end of this program. So I would quickly like to extend my heartfelt of thanks to all of the distinguished guests for their valuable support, without which this event will be success of this event will be not possible. So first of all, I would like to extend my heartiest thanks to Professor Devabrata Das for continuing this panel discussion. Thank you, sir. Sir have given us various valuable suggestions in different areas, which is very informative, and I think it's very useful for all of us. I would also like to thank Professor Azila Kasim, who have explained about the tourism industry in Malaysia, which help us to know more about the tourism industry in Malaysia. I would also like to thank Saurav Kumar Dixit, sir, who have explained about the tourism industry in Northeast India, which is very informative again. I would also like to thank Seema Sharma, Professor Seema Sharma, who have explained us about the importance of involvement of women in trade and commerce. I think this information and suggestion is very useful for all of us. I would also like to thank Mr. Bhavesh Tanwar, who has shared his practical experience about the hospitality industry, and I hope his testimony will encourage the youth who are willing to build their career in hospitality industry. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Mr. Sudip Pradhan for explaining us about the petroleum industry, especially about the bioethanol, and he also explained us about his willingness to develop the hospitality industry in Bettiah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I also like to thank our coordinator, Dr. Rajeshjit Barman, for his tireless effort to make this event successful. Again, I would also like to thank Mr. Sima for his effort to make this event successful. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the organizer and all of our volunteers for their tireless effort throughout the session to make it successful. Thank you so much. And with this, we'll end this session and we'll have a photo session now. We'll take a group photo, and with that, we'll conclude today's session. Volunteers, please come forward for the photo session. Ready?
I think she knows where my car is. Đã một chắc mà lên đi được. Hả?
ए लाओ फटाफट करो भाई 5 बज गया 4 बज गया हाँ आपको जाना है
आप भी अरेस्ट करो सर मुफ्त भाई
बोलेंगे 2 मिनट से ज्यादा नहीं देंगे किसी को
Madam, successfully complete. Finish. Relax. Isman Pearson Hoyasile. I have nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you again. I, on behalf of the faculty member, Department of Economics, Borland University, and also the team member of BTR in the light of ABS policy, welcome all our esteemed guests and all the participants here in this panel discussion. Now we will be having a panel discussion. The topic of the panel discussion is BTR in the light of Ag East policy, its impact and future prospect. So we have, in panel discussion, we have a moderator and a list of panelists. Now, I would call upon today's moderator of this session, Professor U.K. Dey Sir, Department of Economics, Nehu, Shillong, to occupy the stage seat. Now, I also would like to call upon all the panelists one by one. Professor Zebi Santarita, Professor of Asian Studies, Asian Center, University of Philippines. Professor Wadud, Department of Economics, Rajshahi University, Bangladesh. Professor Ratul Mohondo Sir, Professor and Head, Department of Economics, Guwahati University. Professor Pranjit Bora, KKH SOU Guwahati. Again, I would like to call upon on stage Dr. Anup Sekhar Chakraborty, Assistant Professor, Department of Political Science and Political Studies, Netaji Institute for Asian Studies, Kolkata. Now at this time, I would like to hand over this time to our moderator, Professor U.K. Desa, to lead the panel discussion.
Hello. So again, thank you very much to appear in the IAS morning session we had done on the similar topic. That's invited presentations and some paper presentations. So what different type of questions can crop up? So that we had seen at Act is policy, that means policy itself, what does it mean? Then what are the different components? The main component is the infrastructure development, especially the communications. As you have seen your keynote speaker in the morning and other speakers have told that roadways, railways, are highways, then airways, all these things are development. Now, the present session is given that the BTAD in the light of Act's policy. That means to what extent BTAD's development can depend on the Act's policy, or to what extent it can achieve its development by adopting this, for the adoption of this Act's policy. That is, the government has adopted a particular policy. For that, some avenues will be created. One is the communications to facilitate the trade. The other policies is the integration, not only through communication, but through other means. Then how social and other interactions improvement can help these things, and several other ways. So here in the panel, we have now four persons, four experts in different fields. So I will request them to give their opinion, because already we started almost an hour late. But we should not finish late. We should finish positively by 6. And only the additional points I shall request the experts to say, because they have already delivered in the morning. Now I request first Professor Sancharika, that because he is from Philippines. So some connections of this, what you call Asian countries, it is a member of the ASEAN also. What type of, because he observed some or obtained some information from other people's presentation about this region, that what is his thinking about this region to achieve in future or to access. That is, there are several avenues. Definitely this region do not have the what you call the efficiency or its specialization in all the fields. So in what field this region can excel? What do you think?
Before that, I think the primary criteria or characteristic that the strength of the BTR as a kind of the promise of the interaction between Southeast Asia and India is connectivity still. Connectivity in all aspects. Early this morning, we talked about air, water, and land connectivity, including digital connectivity. This is supposed to enrich the commercial, take charge, perhaps take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution. So you started with this. I think the digitalization is very important because the ASEAN is now implementing the single window for customs and trade, although there's some kind of challenges to that. But again, while wait for the ASEAN to work on that, maybe the BDR and Assam in general, or maybe the Northeast region should also follow and make use of that, because we have already the capacity, the talents on digitalization. Second, I think we are the strength is more on agriculture, though you have oil in this area, but still I think you need to top up to value, to add value to the products. Because right now, the way I look at it, BTR and Assam in general has the potential to become a hub digitally and even in terms of connectivity. So you have Guwahati, for instance, in the area connectivity, but there's a big potential in terms of trade, partner BTR in Kokrajhar area to Bhutan and even Nepal. No. One thing more is the follow-up towards that establishment of the pilgrim circuits. Because in a way, you are not just only enriching the connectivity, centuries of connectivity between India and Southeast Asia, but you are also helping in developing tourism at the same time in enriching the religious and cultural connections between countries, India and Southeast Asia. So I'll stop for the moment and I'll give the floor to others.
Thanks a lot. Now, next with us is famous professor and head of the department. They call chairman of the department of the economics in Raksa University. The terminology is like that. So, Professor Wadud, I will request him to highlight something. So he will speak tomorrow again. That is how Bangladesh, especially there is a common border. So East Asian more connections here may develop. Already some border trade happens. So you have some idea about the composition. So what type of deficiency you observe and how BTAD can give thrust towards that for the promotion of further trade. Because already there is some connection. So though through BTAD's land custom stations, wherever it is still not that prominent. Because a more prominent trade is taking place either through your Benapole border, Calcutta. There are so many land custom stations. Now 17 is in operation, whatever I know. And some are closed now. So similarly, there is one Malda border. There is a main the trade point. Another one Akhaura in Tripura. Then here Mahendraganj and Dauki. We see these 5, 6 are major contributor to the border trade and formal and also informal trade that happens. Now, what is your opinion, please?
Thank you, Professor Utpal Kumar Dey, for giving me the floor. First of all, I would like to remind that India is the creator of the Blue-East policy and the Act-East policy. We know it. Everybody, I think, already knows it. And India is sharing its border with Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, China, perhaps Afghanistan also. And you know that Bangladesh is one of the countries which is sharing the border with India also. And Bangladesh, most of the international borders of India and Bangladesh are about, the distance is about more than 2,000 miles. And through the Act-East policy, India is expanding its trade, its cooperation, its connection, its cultural ties. You already know that the Act-East policy is based on 4 C's. One is communication, the other is cooperation, then is commerce, then is creating infrastructure forces. So all of these are for creating or reaching or earning more benefits through trade and communications. We all know that our mother tongue is not English. I think nobody's mother tongue is English here. but we are speaking here in English. Because for why? Because of communication. We are communicating. So communication is very important. So for that reason, Act's policies, one of the C's is communication. And through the Act's policy, the government of India wanted to expand its connection from India to the northeast, Southeast Asian countries and East Asian countries, and it is the responsibility also for India to create policies, the other policies, and implementation of the policy on how to get or how to receive or how to earn the benefits from the policy. So as the moderator told that Bangladesh and India are close neighbors, the closest neighbors we can say, and there are many agreements done by the Bangladesh and India, and through Bangladesh, through those agreements, trade and developments are happening. Remember, India is investing in Bangladesh. You know that there is a power plant established, which is under construction by the Adani company. Other is Reliance Power Company. Reliance company is investing about $3 billion, which is the single largest investment in Bangladesh. Not only that, they are also investing perhaps in other countries. And India and the land route, you can say that India can use the Bangladesh Chittagong port and Mangla port, and through Chittagong port and Mangla port they can transport commodities from India to Myanmar and some other northeastern states of India like Assam, then Arunachal Pradesh, and other northeastern parts of India. And Arunachal Pradesh, from Arunachal Pradesh can be the power corridor, because hydro energy can be produced there, and those hydro energy can be transferred or transmitted to other parts of India and other parts and other countries also. So through this Texas policy, Act's policy, so India is also communicating with other countries like Myanmar, then Vietnam, then other ASEAN countries, we can say. Not only ASEAN countries, beyond the ASEAN countries. India is making policies. I think they are trying to implement those policies to earn benefit from that policy. And as moderator was asking about the benefit between India and Bangladesh, so we can say that the as the data or as the statistics show that the India is after the introduction of the Act's policy, India's export in Bangladesh has increased significantly, and number of bundles exported to Bangladesh has also been increased. Although the import of Bangladesh or the export of Bangladesh has increased, but the number of bundles of export from Bangladesh to India has decreased, I think. And there are one more thing that if the Act's policy is being implemented and the agreement between Bangladesh and India can be properly executed, then I think the land ports can be properly used, as the moderator told. Then through the transshipment agreement, the commodities from India can be carried through Bangladesh by road or by rail, and to the from India to the other northeastern states of India, and other countries like Myanmar, perhaps Vietnam also can be exported through land and through using the port water routes. Uh, in this way, India can get the benefit through the access policy. I think time is. I don't want to take much time because moderator is asking me to make it short next time. So I want to finish at this moment. So next time I will begin.
Actually, the exact figure, if you see, that export from Bangladesh to India has not declined. It increased over time, but not in exactly same proportion as their import from India has increased. But when trade happens, whether through border trade or any, there is a simple Ricardian principle of the comparative advantage, all these things, economics people know. So they are, both countries are mutually benefited. That is visible because I have seen from Tripura side, that is orange and other orchards, that is pineapple. So before it become harvested, the Bangladesh's company, that is your Pran, they buy the raw material. So pineapple goes and orange goes there, and their employment is generated in Bangladesh. Then final orange juice comes to India. So we buy that and drink. So whether in Northeast, whether in Calcutta side, all over India, Pran is very popular. Lychee, Pran lychee, no? Similarly, from Meghalaya side, through the ropeway, you have seen that conveyor belt, huge amount of limestone every day going. And in your side, in Bangladesh, their employment generated, they produce cement, and that cement comes to India, final product. So both countries is mutually benefited. That happens. But there will be some relative sense, some will be more benefited, some will be less benefited. So these things are always there. So anyway, but we to pick up that information gap is there. You also maybe not much aware. So that I wanted to know whether you have any idea on that. So what are the products that can go from BPAD or what the scope is there. Now coming to our professor, who is the head of the Department of Economics of Guwahati University, Professor Ratul Mohanto. He is a very close friend of mine also, so I simply call Ratul without title sometime. So just in the morning, I had also told there that in the Northeast, Assam is the largest state. So whatever picture we see in Assam, so normally people consider that the whole Northeast is like that. And there is a very dearth of the data of the border trade. The state-wise data is not available. Only country-wise, what export, import, all these available. So there is some problem or issues in doing research also. So through ASEAN also similarly, that you can see that import rather through this infrastructure development has increased manifold than the exports. Now how Assam can come into picture, we talk of much on the tourism also. And they are also, whatever tourists, I have the figure, that 90% of the foreign tourists that come from the West till now. Even from these eastern nations like your Myanmar, which is the bordering nation of this Mizoram and others, Manipur, similarly Thailand. So we have the East Asian, we say that cultural affinity, their closeness, but still barely 10% of the foreign tourists come. If you go to the Kaziranga, by number you will get the foreign tourists, but if segregate the country-wise, still it is the West that they come. And even within Assam, different tourist sites are there. There may be that they are the substitute sites. That is, I said that more than double the tourist footfall in Kaziranga, of which half or less than half is in Manas. So maybe it is the substitute that whatever we see in Kaziranga, same thing to in Manas. So why to visit again? We are not getting any extra. So what type of things can be created? How circuits to be developed? So what is the prospect and how to do it? Your take on that.
Okay, Mother sir, thank you very much. So as time is very least for us, so it's a good question that how we can tap the tourist potentiality in Northeast India and specialize in Assam. So when we're going to talk about the potentiality of the tourism in Assam, certainly is a huge scope for Assam. But one thing is very sure, if you consider only Assam, then it will be difficult because whenever a tourist want to visit Northeast or Assam, its whole perspective or her whole perspective is that it's not only one spot, rather than to have to have an idea about different spots in Northeast in case of the Northeast India. So in that sense, already the tourism department has started some initiative so that they can link up with some of the spots of Assam along with some bordering spot also. So you'll be very happy to know that recently government of Assam has already started an initiative that if we can develop the tourists on not only for the sightseeing but also for the health tourists also, even for the academic tourists also. For example, regarding the our national education the policy that has been implemented, going to be implemented in Assam, there has formed an internalization of the NEP. So with the help of international NEP, already had one discussion has been going on, and already they have implemented some policy that somehow if you can, we along with our all the what should I say, all if suppose somewhere we have some industry or some other platform, if you could do in that platform, if you get given some the slots for the how we are going to attract the students from our neighboring countries, then it will be a great scope for us. And for that matter, the government of Assam already decided to go for enhance some of the infrastructure for most of the A-graded colleges and even the universities also. This is one where we can, I hope that we can at least tap some of the potentiality of the academic tourism. Besides that, we have a lot of scopes for the to attract the tourism in terms of in case of the medical, because as you know, the Guwahati is one of the gateway of the Northeast India, is one of the hub of our health sector, and we have almost now along with the profit and non-profit about 75 private health centers. So there it can be counted at about 30% of the tourists coming our neighboring countries, even from Myanmar and Nepal also. So in that sense, I do believe that there are a lot of scopes for the Assam. Yes, you are very right that we could not structure these whole things in a package wise. Hopefully, if we have this idea of active policy, certainly it give a very good path for Assam along with the Northeast India also. Yes, we have to work together, not individual state-wise. We have to work in a together-wise so that we can attract the tourists not for the only Assam but for the Northeast India. Besides that, tomorrow I'll have a detailed the discussion on that, because I will have a lot of time tomorrow and we'll have scopes to give some idea about the, as Sir has mentioned about the hydropower project. As you know, there is huge the gap between the mismatch between demand and supply of our power generation. So we have a great potentiality that somehow we can import power from the Bhutan and we can again export to Bangladesh and Nepal. Because on the basis of our cross-border electricity trading, now we are importing power from the Bhutan and we're exporting to Nepal and Bangladesh. And although we tried on level base to enhance or to tap the available hydropower project, but as you know, recently, although we started to work on the Suwan City hydropower project, but there are mass protection, mass agitation has been done against the hydropower project, because of which the completion of the project has gone a little bit late, for which it increased the cost in a multiple way. But still, we have a lot of scopes. One good thing is for the BTR, what I like to say is that it is a very close proximity to the Bhutan, and if somehow we can enhance the infrastructure facility to Bhutan, then obviously BTR will be highly beneficial from the import of the power supply. So that's, I have seen this is one of the great advantages for the BTR region. Somehow we can, if we could enhance the infrastructure facilities, certainly it will reduce a lot, because it has already been estimated that the production of 1 megawatt hours of hydro project in Bhutan, right? It costs about $65, where it costs in India is $100, right? So at present time, it is about half of that. If we can enhance or if we can make the transportation facility more adequate way, right, in a more sophisticated way, then that cost will reduce to $35, right? So in that case, BTR will certainly get enough scope because we are very close proximity to Bhutan. Yes, there are a lot of apprehensions going on because last time we had some experience regarding the flood in the Manas National Park. Although there are some apprehension that is going on, but still I feel that I do hope that if we can tap all the facility of the hydropower project of Bhutan, then certainly it a good scope for the BTR regions, at least in terms of the electricity consumption of the people. Thank you very much.
And thanks a lot, Professor Atul, for highlighting some of the pertinent points here. Now coming to Dr. Anup Chakraborty, as he is from the field of political science. Now, my query here would be that there are steps taken for the development of the connectivity. So, road is constructed for example, but the person do not have cycle, how he will drive or the car unless the income opportunity is created. Yeah, as I say, if you do not produce anything, what you will carry? It will reduce the carrying cost, but transport cost. But you have to produce first. That is one. Similarly, there are some political negotiations, political will. So on the one hand, we are showing that we have the will through our expenditure because a major part of this, about 70% of this roadway construction is being borne by the India. Government of India, whether through Bangladesh, whether through Myanmar, because they have their major interest for their trade promotion. Other countries too have, they will get the benefit. So that is there. But what political negotiations and other steps have been taken for this purpose? Because there must be some dialogue. As the Asian Indian, some dialogue partner. Their embassies people go, they have the dialogues for the communication. Sometimes success, sometimes there is failure, sometimes signatures are not done, and at the last moment it is a failure. So many examples are there. So I request you to highlight some of these.
Thank you, sir. Coming from the field of political science and being in a panel which is predominantly, occupied by economists, when we speak, tensions do come up. And as sir has mentioned, yes, one of the biggest challenges in terms of implementation of any policy is in terms of the political will. And the political will is not just at the level of, at least in the case of India, because we have a federal structure which operates at multiple dimensions. You can see in the case of, when we do some kind of policy formulations with the neighboring country like Bangladesh, immediately Mamata Banerjee and the Trinamool Congress in West Bengal seems to speak a different language. So there seems to be a different language between the federal structures within India also. So that being the case, any development project, from either looking at it from a policy or from the level of people, any development project also has to see how effectively it affects the community per se. We can create a bridge, we can make a bridge, but the bridge can be of no function if it doesn't affect the community. And here in the case of BTR, what BTR can have as a learning experience from the Act East policies in its various versions, whether it is Look East or Act East, in the last 20 plus years of its existence. What we can see from the case of Mizoram and all is that for BTR, when we are making a road, there is always a community stakeholdership that our road hamare gaon se banai. Like for in the case when Lengpui Airport was being built, the villagers in Lengpui were making a hell and cry that the road should pass through their village, which is a longer cut to the airport. But the airport people wanted that they have the shortest route. So they had to go via the by bypassing the village, which the villagers did not like, because their business, which was that of tires or restaurants, all those things could not get fulfilled. So these are the little things that we always see. So, but then at the same time, policies, others aside, what I see in the case of BTR and this whole development project is that let Bodoland not be the dumping yard of people's ideas manufactured elsewhere. Let it be ideas which are injurious to that locality, which can be of some use. Because when we say development programs and when we open up for our markets, tourism, for example, if you learn from Sikkim or from Darjeeling, you will see that the amount of garbage which is produced per day, the amount of water which is used per day, ends up in making the local people thirst for local water. So Darjeeling is a town, beautiful, lots of rain, lots of water, but no water to drink because everything is taken by the tourists. So you're opening up tourism out here, you're opening up everything, but at the cost of nature, at the cost of what? Because that carbon footprint that we have, sometimes it happens that you will understand that when they say that, Bodoland mein acha hai, like the previous panel you've seen, they were suggesting that more tourism spots खोला जाए. अच्छा भाई आज मानस नहीं चल रहा है ठीक है तो और एक डेस्टिनेशन खोल देंगे like it happens in West Bengal. You see the entire of North Bengal. Mamata Banerjee, each and time she comes and inaugurates a new tourist destination and homestay. But to what effect? You occupy a new virgin territory, spoil all the nature, kill all the birds, create cemented cottages, make tourists stay in AC hotels in those cottages in a forest. Does it make sense? So as the Anthropocene, we have to be very cautious about what we are doing because our effect every day will affect our policies for the future. So development in terms of politics that we see, that has to be seen in the larger framework of eco-masculinities. We have heard of ecofeminism, which has spoken so much of women and their role in nature. It's time for us to see in newer sense, as Paul Cooley and Hultman have said, eco-masculinities. What is the role that man or human beings can, especially our generation men? Because men have always considered to be the problem makers or problem creators. Let's be problem solvers. So problem solving would also come at the level of political negotiations with our neighbors. And that would also open up new space for looking at how we look at development. Because development is not something which is permanent. It keeps fluctuating. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have completed one round of discussion on the points that to what extent we can think that this connectivity can prompt on that aspect that what to be done. One is that capacity building, our friends from Philippines has said, and some digital hub to develop some pilgrimage circuit. But these are some suggestions. How to do it? That is also another question. So we say that it has to be done. Who will be coming forward to do it? Whether it is a government, we always blame it has to be done and government should do. In many research papers also people write government should do. Why government should do? Why not the others? The stakeholders. Similarly, that is tourism and academic circuits development, as Professor Ratul also told. Professor Wadud has highlighted some aspects of the Bangladesh's through the HIDEL projects and other aspects of how trade promotions and joint development can take place. And from the political aspects also, we heard that the development policies whatever taken, the political negotiations, they should take into considerations of the nature and other things, so that should not be. But here, one thing we have to keep in mind, that is that any steps whatever taken when there are multiple countries involved, that is, suppose activist means you are involving with your eastern neighbors, so countries basically. Our country wants to build a road which starts at one place and ends at another place. But the other country's interest is to start from another place. So there will be no horizontal coordination. So they're how to tackle, because motives also may be different, and everybody wants to take advantage of any such policy that other country India is doing to gain in the trade more in comparison to my country. I will also take steps following ABC so that I can take rather this connectivity, advantage of this connectivity to penetrate in India's market. It may happen that the Lucas policy they are adopting this. So in state of India, rather a road is built, we can export our things. As happened that I always say that because of this connectivity, our market is being flooded with Chinese goods. So they got easy access. Earlier less amount was coming, but rather more in quantity it is coming. So it is our active connectivity facilitated other countries rather to do. Now, sometimes in a scratch way, government takes some policy. Some apps, Chinese apps are closed. Some these things. So that is okay. That is the purpose of the government to protect our interest. That is okay. But this piecemeal, this what you call steps that is taken. These are some scratch piecemeal steps. Suddenly, there was a one slogan like that: you stop in bringing in Chinese goods or about the Chinese goods, but you may not import directly the Chinese goods. But if they have the direct access to Bangladesh, for example, or to Nepal, so they are sending their goods to Nepal, and through the Nepal-India border there is no blockage. So you are bringing as if Nepalese goods, but basically it's the Chinese goods you are bringing. So can you stop by doing that? So East Asian connection taking the market advantage. How other countries are thinking. So that is also very important, and what steps are they taking. So again in the second round, so my question to you, sir, that in this East Asian connections, through the dialogue process, as India is proposing some of the things to all these Asian nations for their bilateral or multilateral agreement. So what the Philippines also thinking and steps taken in this regard? Do you have any idea?
Well, when we look at, it's not multilateralism, but I think it's minilateralism, which is a new multilateralism. The Triangle Rock area is a good example. But if we are talking of different parties on a certain project, the success story is much more dependent to a third party rather than to a government to government. So you asked earlier, who should first initiate? I think you cannot do away with the role of the government because they are the ones actually transacting as mandated by the Constitution. But in the case of Pilgrim Circuit, maybe you can start with travel agencies. It's a private sector initiated activity that will definitely push more, will push the government to negotiate with counterparts. And one thing more is that you also involve the international governmental organizations such as ADB or World Bank for that matter to finance. So the success story is very high for those that are initiated by international government organizations such as ADB and the Japan funded the Mekong the Mekong Commission for that matter. So generally, I think you have to involve more non-government organization because of course I mind that too many chefs actually spoil the broth. So in that case, you have to be very cautious and conscious in involving, considering that we are talking here of official or maybe multilateral agreements for that matter, because we have to seal it so that regardless of whoever will take the reign in the next 3 or 6 years, will continue because that is part of the national interest. In political science, you have domestic policy versus that of foreign policy. So in a way, if the president term will end in the next 3 years, whoever will take charge in the next 3 years will also continue the project rather than cut it off because that is not the priority of the new administration. So politically, there's a maneuvering, a compromise, but if it is actually part of the agreement on a trilateral or a higher level, that's going to continue. And I think the success story is much, much better. Am I allowed to speak more? Okay. Another one which is related to energy. BTR, when I actually traveled yesterday from Guwahati to this Kukajar, I saw that there's so many haystacks and other agricultural products waste along the way. So aside from relying on Bhutan or Nepal in terms of hydropower, I think it's time for us, although ideally it's expensive, but it's time for us to invest in biofuel. In other words, because in the long run, in the long term, we need to sustain environmental sustainability and so forth and so on, which will also Prof. Anuk mentioned about stakeholders, inclusivity in the implementation of the program. That means when you talk about agricultural products waste, you can turn that into energy, which you can also in return produce as a surplus energy that can be exported to other countries, particularly the power-hungry countries in Southeast Asia, such as Thailand. So you can do that. And I think they have already the plan of the line grid electricity from the southern part of it's a global circuit, definitely. So that we need a lot. Even China might be interested to that because China politically is an adversary or maybe a competitor of India, but in business you can always go ahead with that. But setting aside China, you can always import your energy to countries like Thailand or even Singapore or Malaysia in the long run. So I'll stop this first and then
So can I come to that one? Yeah. Okay, so the thing is that it's very interesting. When I just get a call that I should come for this the Knowledge Festival, then I was thinking why this is very important to have the Knowledge Festival in BTR. Okay. Then finally, when I went through the lot of literature, then I came to know that this is very, very important for the BTR to have this Knowledge Festival. Because why? Because India could know and India could very rightly visualize that it is very, very important now to stop somehow the Chinese diplomacy and Chinese occupancy in Asia. If you see in the energy sector, because I just read out a lot of things in energy, China has almost captured almost all the Asian countries, and they have linked even Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Tajikistan, everywhere. They have even linked the Russia, the Cambodia, Malaysia, everything. We had only cross-border power transition only Bhutan, then Nepal and Bangladesh. Okay, the Bhutan we are importing, and on the other hand we are exporting Nepal and the Bangladesh. China has been trying a lot to invest in Bhutan also. India is very much interested to invest in Bhutan. Why? It's not because of an economic profit, but also in case of from strategic point of view also. Because it's very, very important for the India to be with Bhutan because it will really be helpful for the Bhutan from the diplomatic and strategic point of view. In that sense, BTR plays a very important role. Because if, suppose, as India government is not giving importance to the BTR, then it will be difficult for the Indian government also to touch the Bhutan because Bhutan is very close proximity to the BTR. Okay, when you're going to talk about the Bangladesh, then already one process is going on, right, in the Meghna Basin because India is trying to link the Bangladesh with the Meghna Basin, and third one is Myanmar. But so therefore, if you look at the connections of India with the South Asian countries, we had only BTR through which we can link up with the Bhutan. We have the Myanmar, who said we can link up with the Manipur, and we have Bangladesh that will link up. So these are the three things. So therefore, India is always trying to link up these three, the foreign country, so that three countries should be with us. Otherwise, it is really devastating for the India to show its occupancy in the southeastern, the regions, right? Because in most of it, it has been seen that China has already captured a lot, and China is now a major power in the Asian power grid sector. Even China is now the president of what is called the Greater Mekong sub-region, right? In the Greater Mekong sub-region, except the India and other two countries, almost all countries are in favor of the China, right? So it is now very important for India to somehow to survive. Which means that if India have to compete with China, then India have to with the Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Means unfortunately we don't have any treaty regarding energy with Myanmar. We have only treaty of Bangladesh and Bhutan. But we are hoping that as Bangladesh is very close with the Myanmar and they have treaty, so through Bangladesh, if somehow we can link up Myanmar, then at least 3 countries will be with us. So that's the actually connection that is going on. That's why the India government is very, very interested for these 3, I would say the 3 reasons. And out of the 3 reasons, BTR also is one of the important reasons. Okay, so that's from my point of view.
Thanks a lot.
And sir, I like to say one more thing. As you have mentioned that why we are not going to use the wastage, right? You see, already studies has proved that if we could purchase our power from the Bhutan, one good thing is that obviously from economics point of view, it is a comparative cost advantage. It means that it is always better to hire or import electricity from Bhutan rather than to harvest in India because it costs more, first thing. Second thing is that if we hire electricity from Bhutan, then one thing is that we are free from CO2 emission, right? So in that case, we have a power of our trading, carbon trading. Have you heard this word, carbon trading? It means that we are not harvesting in our own Indian soil, then we are not producing carbon trading. So in that sense, India could at least sell carbon trading to other countries also. That's why India is very much interested to import electricity from Bhutan rather than to harvest by its own the sources of other power supply. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That has something to do with the global warming type of thing or our greenhouse gas emissions, all these things. Anyway, and as you were telling about that investment in the non-conventional energy, then now India, for your information, that India has taken a big step that most of our vehicles will be now on electric mode. So it will not be on the diesel or petrol mode. Gradually it will go up. And another, it is being supported by the God, you can say. Suddenly there was a discovery of huge lithium deposit in Kashmir. So if still the technology is not at that level to harvest it, maybe some companies will come forward and in collaboration, if that is harvested, even quantum of that deposit is much more than that of the China, whatever they have lithium. So except the South American, those 3 nations, only India has another big. So there's just a recent news it came, and lithium is a major component of this battery for the electric vehicles and like that. So in future, we hope that it will not only India can use for itself, its surrounding economies also they can use it, so they can invent it. So it will phase out, it takes time, but that has been going on. So anyway, so now I am coming to Professor Wadud to give you a little trouble. That apart from that policy issues, also that implementation part, as I see in many of the land custom stations, if you see that on Indian side, like Akhauda, they made a huge development of the infrastructure, so that it makes it convenient to deposit the goods and then clearing. That earlier there used to be a long queue for weeks, they could not deliver. So now that can easily be disposed of. In Dauki also, I visited a few months back. I saw that there is a huge shade and other offices they have developed, because through that border, your coal and this boulders that is being exported to Bangladesh. Similarly, from Bangladesh side also, many things can come, but still relatively less, as you yourself also said. But whether any such infrastructure development or anything has been done or is going on What are the steps?
Thank you very much. We are talking about investment, we are talking about trade, we are talking about commerce. But what does the economic theory say or tell? We, as the teacher of economics, we know about the game theory. There are mainly two types of game theory: zero-sum game, as you know, and non-zero-sum game. Right? So when two countries or more than two countries will come together, right, non-zero-sum game should appear. Otherwise, the game will not be successful. So if Bangladesh and India wants to play together, then they should play in such a way so that non-zero-sum game, happens. So both countries should get benefit, but one will get more benefit, other will get less benefit. So as I was trying to tell, through active policy, India is getting more benefit than Bangladesh. Bangladesh also getting benefit, but India's benefit is better than Bangladesh benefit. This is one thing. The other thing is that we all know about absolute advantage theory, comparative advantage theory, and specialization from the trade analysis. So if one country can make a specialization, they can take the benefit of absolute advantage. The countries should do research how especially India should research, as India is the introducer of the active policy. India should research how the benefit from the active policy can be achieved, either through a specialization or getting competitive advantage or any other way. India should think first, because whenever India will trying to get the benefit, other countries should also think whether they will get benefit or not. They will also think, as I told that non-sum game theory, they will also think whether they will have any benefit or not from this policy. So I think the government should come forward whenever either bilateral or multilateral agreements or multilateral any type of contracts. As besides the private entrepreneurs, they also should come forward. I think now the time will come to prepare the industrial policy, to prepare the trade policy, if India wants to get higher benefit from the active policy. The specific policy should be now prepared to get the benefit, I think. And under those policies, there will have some specific objectives, specific indicators, specific outcomes and milestones also. Then I think this policy will be more viable, or the countries will get benefit. Because if through active policy, more countries are included. So whenever India will go to one country, or India may go to other country, but the group of the bilateral treatments may be different. So the treatment between India and Bangladesh may be done in one way, and the treatment between India and Myanmar, or India and Philippines may be different. So they should have different bilateral or multilateral trade policy, multilateral industrial policy, and multilateral commerce policy. India should get the benefit from that tax policy. For that reason, I think more researches need to be done. We can talk many things, but whenever at the end of the day we calculate the benefit in terms of money, right? At the end of the day, if there is no benefit in terms of money, then that policy will not be viable or not be successful. You can tell many things, you can expect many things whole day, but at the end of the day, if there is no money in your pocket, then your program will not be successful. So for that reason, as I told, that more researches can be done. In terms of BTR, yesterday we were traveling from Boglan University to Bhutan with
Professor Kumar Dev, what I noticed that the land resources are not properly utilized. So research can be done. If you go to Bangladesh or any other country, you will find that there are some research institutes beside the roads, like Bangladesh Rice Research Institute, Bangladesh Soil Research Institute, or something like that. But I did not notice any institute like that from Bodoland to Bhutan border. So some research institutes should be had to do research, how to utilize the land resources. Some people have also already told about tourism. So tourism researches can also be done. And done so that more money or more remittance can be earned through those initiatives. And for that reason, as I told that the research and development is more important. So an account of the resources or account of the potentialities of this area, Vidya, should be prepared. I do not know whether this type of account is already done or not, but an account of the resources, account of the possibilities, account of the potentialities can be prepared to develop this region. And at the same time, as I told that preparing that account of resources, potentialities, and other things, resources can be done accordingly. If if India wants to get more benefit from this access policy. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Definitely. When earlier also I have said, when we come across the state to this point, up to Borpeta, you will see that in winter also there are so many crops cultivation. And here land is एकदम flat. So the chance of cultivation is more. Why people do not do cultivation? They do not know how to cultivate, or they do not want to do. Some easy money earning they want. What is the, if you do this, diversify your activity, crop production, then you can earn more money. There is no dearth of water, underground water plus river water can be brought here. Only some activities has to be done. Why it has not, unless you produce something, what you will sell? Because even in our Shillong, our campuses, every week, Saturday, Friday, we see that from Borpeta some people come with huge chunk of fish and door to door they sell. So they produce, that's why they go and sell. No, so unless you produce what to sell, and whatever price they get in Guwahati market, almost double all the price, whatever I observed. So definitely, even if after some transport cost and there's labor time sparing, so they are earning huge money. So these are the things. But here people, I don't know, maybe they are already well off, they have no greed, they don't have any aspiration to earn more. I don't know what is the reason that they don't want to do, or they are happy that they have reached the bliss. I am happy with whatever little bit I have. As in Bhutan, I saw the steel petrol price is less. That means definitely excise duty is less on the petrol. Despite that, they are happy. So how they are maintaining. So this is one thing. Another is that Professor Atul told that through Chittagong port, you can make more connectivity to Myanmar. That is fine. That side, that trade through the waterways, sea ports, that is. But recently, new problems came of the Rohingyas. You know that Chittagong, that port, that is another political questions. They are all these things, very sensitive issues. So we should not talk of that here. So a little bit I can bypass and I can come to Mr. Chakraborty, Dr. Chakraborty directly. That what further can be done? As you said that political will, political negotiations, but where are the loopholes and what further can be done? Only just integration is not enough. As I said, there are only some road you make, but you can see that even after station integration, many a times we have also continuously have reached with the Pakistan. So despite being second largest country within such our trade of India is very less with that country. And and with Malaysia, sometimes we face this type of problem. So palm oil import once it was stopped also. So they wanted to sell more to Pakistan because they were supporting them. So you have to buy from me palm oil. India has stopped importing. So it happened 2 years back. So so on the one hand we are taking more telling about talking about the more integration, Asian connections. Another time some risks are coming up. So because of some political sensitiveness on this. So what do you think?
Exactly, as pointed by you, for the Act East policy, if you take the case of Manipur and Mizoram, what we have seen is that the legal and the illegal goes together. The road is there, the SEZ has been created, the checkposts are there, everything is there, customs are working. But beyond that, people just have to cross a small rivulet, and once the illegal can come. Now, what is happening exactly is what BTR Botaland can learn from experiences elsewhere is that just merely creating a checkpost or having a customs place is not sufficient to regulate mobility of goods that are flowing. Like how Sir said, that Chinese goods and apps were banned, but Chinese products continue to come to India. And my field experience in this entire area from Nepal, Bhutan to Northeast, entire field is that while Indians are consuming more Chinese products because we want cheaper products, सस्ता है खरीद लेते हैं. So we want to do that. But people who are buying things in Bhutan, they were smuggling strange things like Horlicks. Horlicks कौन smuggle करता है? पर Horlicks का भी smuggle होता है. Horlicks, Cerelac, these are items which go from India to Bhutan. I don't know whether it's allowed in the trade or not, but these people who are smuggling or bootlegging, they carry these small items. When I asked them, why do you buy Indian products? Chinese alternative here. They said that ISI, if it is written in something ISI, it means it is genuine, it is good. They also talk about this in terms of Eveready battery and all. They say Indian batteries are better than Chinese batteries. So they have that trust in India. But we ourselves, as citizens of India, don't have much trust in terms of made in India. We want sasta mal, so we buy Chinese product and end up in pro-up culture. So it's a pro-way culture. Chinese product sasta we buy, we throw that item. That item goes to nature. It doesn't even get recycled. We don't have that system. So at the end, Tiger Hill just a top area in Darjeeling. You have all kind of littering of plastic. So we are dumping our world with Chinese products, which are not even long lasting. So these borders and trades that we go on, we also have to regulate it with society level. What kind of products do we appreciate? Do we appreciate items that don't look very beautiful? Or do we appreciate items that look jagmagata sundar? Because Chinese items look very pretty, very sundar, the first thing. Their toys are also like that. Our toys are not like that. So we have to do that. Plus, another problem with this entire BTR, and Act East policy is that when we are talking of carbon, like Sir, he mentioned about carbon, that India will not produce energy, we'll tell Bhutan and we'll buy it from them. Very good, but we also have to be cautious about the larger, responsibility that India has towards our trans Himalayas. Because if we start investing too much in terms of development and Khanakoni, as we say in Bangla, in these hilly regions, then something that happens in Uttarakhand, all kind of effects on the Himalayan glaciers. If the Himalayan glaciers dry up, then what we must remember is that India will not survive. We will not have any water. So we have to be cautious about all this. So the BTR has to understand that any development projects, either through Act East or any other, it's like a Samudra Manthan. You have both the Amrit and the wish coming out together. So we have to be very cautious about what we selectively choose to select. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Before coming to Professor Atul, that one point that came to my mind that Professor Wadud was telling, that in this connection, Bangladesh is getting less benefit as compared to India or other countries. That will always happen because any this connectivity development, how the benefit is accrued to a country or it comes to a country. One is that your road connectivity developed on the road sides. There may be some restaurants and other hospitality sector will be developed. So from there people get the benefit. Another is that your people to people contract increase because it enhances that human resources, that is exchange of that. And thirdly, which is actually the major component, that is your exchange of goods and services, so mainly the goods that you produce. So if you produce good and diversified product at the cheaper rate, then you can export more. And in comparison to your import, so net trade surplus can be generated. Now here I think in Bangladesh's case, that I had done one paper earlier, I had seen that still now their major trade is happening with the West. And why? Because their major product and advantage in Bangladesh is in the garment sector. That is the major sector. And garment sector, you will see in the northeastern part of our country, they import the Korean clothes. In every market it is being sold that through Myanmar. Your means blankets, all this type of materials that they come. So those things where Bangladesh also produced, that is not being purchased here rather. Rather in European market, only with different brand name, majority of the products, clothes and other garments, that is Bangladeshi product, you will see. So 90% trade is still happening with the West. So here with the India, because India has a common competitor here, because India also cloth is a major sector, one of the major sectors, and the jute-based thing. So unless the product is diversified and newer products come, and another specialty is hills of hills, this type of thing. So other products has to come up. Then only they can take the advantage of this more connectivity. That is one thing. Now, in that connection, I request Professor Atul to highlight that in Assam specifically, you can say what are the sectors that have the advantage through which this region can further take its further the benefit of the connectivity. The specific sector, the Hydel project, others, they can connect with the Eastern nations or any other.
Okay, so before that, I'd just like to give a very simple comment, taking clue from my Bangladeshi friend. That first thing is that as a student of economics, when we talk about the zero sum game, the one basic assumption is that both two players should be at the same par, at the same level. Okay, so it means that the zero sum game will fail if both two parties are not at the same level, right? So the Bangladesh are not previously that much interested to trade with India because they are always hoping an idea that always India will be in a win-win position rather than the Bangladeshi side. Yesterday, Professor Muhammad Yunus, the Nobel laureate, also gave a delivery at Guwahati University. So I put a question, sir, as you awarded Nobel, right? So certainly it's good for you, but what are the changes that you have seen the last 10 years in the Bangladesh economy? Means how do you define yourself that your Nobel works has really done something for the Bangladeshi? Then I simply reply that in the last 10 years, I could do only one thing is that now I can say proudly that Bangladesh's standard of living is at par with India, right? Is it correct? Right? So he proudly say that whatever previously was a huge gap between the Indian people's standard of living and the Bangladeshi people's standard of living, now because of the Grameen Bank, I can proudly say the standard of living of now Bangladesh is at par with the living of India. That's really connect a lot to me. That you see, when both the two parties are at par, then certainly I feel a very good future for both India and Bangladesh. That both parties, the country will be more interested to be a trade within each other because at the time both parties will be equal at means an equal trade. The first thing. Second is, as Cyrus mentioned, yes, I also rightly observed that as a stakeholders of this organization of this the knowledge, the festival knowledge, and also as a young staff, right? You should request your the BDC chief that please establish here the agro-based industrial that type of one university, maybe an agricultural university in Borneo also, right? Because if whatever the production you have, somehow you have to make the production in a value-added addition, right? In that sense, certainly you require a that type of one institutions, right, which will help you a lot to give some idea how means your production can be have some value addition. Regarding sir, whatever you have asked regarding what are the sectors that we have, yes, we have a lot of now One thing is that the hydropower, but still a lot of apprehension is going on that whether that hydropower has a lot of adverse sociological and some environmental impact also. So in that sense, yes, we are little bit skeptical that whether we can really go on by means exporting our whatever the electricity production that we can have on the basis of a hydropower. So we are still skeptical about the production of the electricity on that. Yes, other two things that we can have. One is that tourism and other one the health sector. So in that case, mostly we have a lot of scopes for if you look at from the Assam point of view, that already we have attract a lot tourism, the medical tourists to the Assam, and certainly now because of lot of adequate infrastructure and coming up of new some good medical colleges, and certainly Assam had a lot of good schools in that case. And moreover, if we could somehow invest somehow in our the technology, right? In that sense, mostly we can have some beneficial advantage, right? So that we can connect with the at least Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh. These are the three countries. So I could see this. Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. At least Bangladesh should be happy. Their per capita income is above the Indian per capita income now. So they have crossed the India. They are richer. Now, as panelists two round I asked, now I come to the audience. If you have any question to any of the panelists, please.
So, even though we have started the Lucas policy decades ago, we started to make it a practice from 2014. What I see is that whatever we are trying to do in practice is like a fear of how to take out China. Fear of red dragon is motivating us to do all those things, but it doesn't suit for other countries. They can do whatever they want to do. For example, what we did during Cold War, other countries can do that for us. They have two options now. They can go for China, they can go for India. So then how can we see that there is a mutual benefit? We can say, we can tell, we can try to show it, but do you think the other country will fall for it? That's one question. So it's for the whole country. That's
okay.
Now, same way, like the country is like, I also feel that BTR is also becoming a buffer state like that in the whole active policy. Can BTR dictate that we want something into it? It's not like Assam government saying something into it or the Indian government saying that this country can happen, we can be those. Can BTR, as morning you said that spillover effort names I am for BTR, we have to put more ideas into it. Sir also I agree on that we can't dump ideas into BTR, BTR should come up with the ideas. So these are the two questions to the panel.
BTR will come up ideas means you want to say that BTR should have what they want to do, production, this. So how they can take that. So they can also think. If they do not think or do anything, definitely what government is taking to dumping happens. And it's not a dumping. You will see that whether your livelihood is improved or not over time. Then you cannot say it is a dump thing. You can say that it is beneficial for us. And always this activist policy is not against China, this, that. India wants to expand its trade and to make some advantage in that trade part. That is okay. Now, unless other countries think so, with whom you are making the agreement, that's what the agreement. So there is a common agreement. If we give relaxation to the tariff in some certain items, those countries also will relax certain items and tariff, so that India's goods can go easily and there will be no barrier. So then only both are, when contact takes place, when mutually both agree. So there it is not that I agree, they do not agree, then there will be no contact. This also again.
No, yes. Whatever Sir has mentioned is right. It's not that only we are trying to prevent only China, but at the same time is that we have one indirect effect. And one good thing that I like to say, because once we also visited China, Nanjing, this is one of the fourth largest city of China. Then it's long back, it's about 9-10 years back, right? So I was just looking for those are the products that has been come to our India. Then I came to know that they basically send our only targeted imported product to India, not the first and second one. So we could not find that type of product what is available in India. We are looking all that product in China, but we could not find it whole in Nanjing market. There we came to know that whatever the product is sent, these are all third and fourth grade products. What the sir has mentioned, yes, we have to develop our nationalism little bit. Because if you go USA, then they proudly say they made in USA. Even they like to give more prices for that. So that nationalism should be developed at least, right? In order to counter the artists.
Good. So we have already crossed the 6 o'clock. As I said that we have to end. Even if we start late, we will finish at 6. But still, we can take 2 questions more if you have. Otherwise, we will close the session. Any more questions? Only 1 minute.
Yeah, just a comment. I think in your question is that there is actually a feeling or emotion about threat of China. But I think the intention of the Lucas policy in 1992 was supposedly to reach out to Southeast Asia. Now, whether it is conscious, unconsciously, at the back of the mind, there's also the striking a balance with China. However, I think to be critical in terms of assessment of the India's look to act this policy, I feel that it's actually too slow because you left actually a big space in the game of competition. In other words, you cannot blame China for that because, and it's inevitable. That means that even if you have some tariff and so forth and so on and some border protections and barriers, you cannot simply disallow it because it's going to penetrate the Indian market. Now, we're thinking only of China, but you're not thinking of the RCEP. The effect of that might be even double or triple or even quadruple for that matter. And it will happen soon because now China, although RCEP is an ASEAN, quote unquote, ASEAN organized, but it's a China financed or China supported organization or agreement. And in that case, I think you need to be alarmed. Alarmed in the sense that you need to protect your industries. Same thing as with other countries in Southeast Asia. And therefore, China is getting more because of the RCEP, more competition and more support from countries in Southeast Asia. And you cannot fault them for that. So what I'm saying is that you don't leave actually that game, the space in that competition, but you need to compete and provide an alternative to other countries, whether it's extended or immediate papers. Now, maybe I'll stop because so many things. One thing more. I think for BTR, because we're talking here for the last 30 years, Northeast region has been in the radar. But I guess that word seems to be rhetoric to me. I might be blunt about that because it's too slow, and therefore the BTR and the Northeast region should definitely develop to participate lucidly in that competition. And one of that is the experience of Southeast Asia, auto, one town, one product. And I think Assam and BTR can do that because you have potentials in agriculture to tap up. Like in bamboo is actually very, it's a popular product here. Produced, yes, in Northeast region. But you're using it for construction. I can see that in the construction. Why not elevate that into more products like, say, international design equipment or international design furniture? So you tap up. Or Singapore can do even in terms of peanuts. Singapore is not actually producing peanuts, but they can produce peanut butter. So just like that. Okay.
Dr. Wadhur, only 1 minute for a closing remarks, as you will have a long session tomorrow.
Yes,
Please.
just 1 minute, 1 minute. I think China and in some cases India, they follow the microeconomic theory. Because perhaps it is observed that China and India, they make product differentiation and price differentiation. Whenever they are exporting the product to USA, those quality of those product is different. And whenever the same commodity they are exporting to Bangladesh or in other countries, the product quality is different. And price quality is also different. The product which they are exporting to USA, price is
products here, and the product which they are exporting to Bangladesh and other Nepal or Bhutan or Sri Lanka, the product is a little bit lower. So they follow the microeconomic theory of product differentiation and price differentiation. Thank you. Thank you.
That is natural because of the entitlement or willingness to pay. I want to pay less, so same quality I cannot derive anyway. And that India, China, all this. So everybody is trying to go ahead. So who can do faster? So it is the process of development. So I think we have a fruitful discussion on this. Despite in the invited session in the morning on the same topic, some more inputs you got. I don't want to spoil time by summarizing again by 10 minutes for 10 minutes. So thanks a lot for your patient hearing and all the panelists here for sharing their valuable time and giving important their input. Thanks a lot. I declare the closure of this session.
Now we have come to the end of this session. At this time, I would like to call upon on stage Dr. Ringsat Basumatari sir to deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Anita ma'am, for giving me for this opportunity to give the vote of thanks to our distinguished panelists as well as the moderator. So first of all, I extend my hearty thanks to Professor U.K. Day, sir, HOD Department of Economics, Megu Silong, for his smoothly conducting as a moderator of this panel discussion, which we are in the light of the average policy. Thank you, sir. Next, I also extend my hearty thanks to Professor Zoefi V. Santorita, Asian Central University of Philippines, who have been able to be part of this panel discussion as a panelist in the first World Woodland International Knowledge Festival 2023. Thank you, sir, for your being a part of this as a panelist for this panel discussion. And my hearty thanks also goes to the Professor Muhammad Abdul Wadud, Department of Economics, Rajshahi University of Bangladesh. Thank you, sir, for your active part taken in this the panel discussion as a panelist. Next, Professor Ratul Mohanto, HOD Department of Economics, Guwahati University. I also extend my hearty thanks to the Sir Ratul Mohanto by giving his the valuable time in this panel as a panelist in this panel discussion. And last but not the least, Dr. Unut Sekhar Chakraborty, Assistant Professor, Department of Political Science and Political Studies, Netaji Institute for Asian Studies, Kolkata. Thank you, sir, for your kind presence here also as a panelist in this panel discussion also. And then lastly, the Professor Manjit Das as a coordinator of this session. Not only this session, the whole this committee that is here in the light of the agri policy. Still, we have the one more session tomorrow also. So thank you for him also. Without him or without his effort, it could not have been successful in this sessions. So thank you, sir. And I also thanks the members of this organizing committee of this session, not only for this session, this team, which are in the light of the agri policy. Dr. Medula Devi, Associate Professor, Department of Economics, Dr. Sansara Musahari, Associate Professor, Department of Economics, Borla University, Dr. Konika Basumatari, Associate Professor, Department of Economics, and Sijilsa Basumatari, Assistant Professor of the Department of Economics, Borderland University, and Rupam Kumar Nath, Assistant Professor, BB Engineering College, Minister Brahma Engineering College, Kokrasar. So again, last year I have the resource scholars, students, volunteers, and technicians, and especially those who are coming for the far away for presentation of this session, in the morning session also. So I especially thanks them also for coming and presenting their papers here in this and with us in this session from the morning to evening up to 6. Actually, now it is not only the 6, it is going to be 7. Okay, thank you so much.
Video nahi? Photo na? Signature. Itu he call pick up করে dong lagi. Hah? Pick up na?
All the best, bacha. আমার ফটো ভিডিও না आपका ग्रैंडफादर हो गया अच्छा होगा ना Okay, bye. Enjoy another one day. Okay, Rakul. Okay, bye. Thanks. Bye.
Hello. Hello. अच्छा बाय बाय
एक लाख मिलता है आप लोग को इतना मेहनत कर 3 दिन से कद 1 लाख भी मिला है देख रहा है ये लाइट जा रहा है कुछ नहीं होगा तो लाइट चल रहा है
SDMI খুলি লওক